All right, what's happening, Fish and friends? Welcome to a somewhat Brady Bunch-esque picture-in-picture type thing we got going on here. What's happening? Somebody in the comments let me know that we're live. I see that we're working, but I always want to check because I don't want to end up going 20 minutes. People be like, "What? Where's he at? Did he show up yet? Is it working?"
It's looking like it's playing. I'm getting the ad right now.
Are we okay?
There it is.
Yeah, it just popped.
Hey,
Hey,
don't
I'm
be
not
skipping those
fuzzy.
ads.
We're good.
I know. I watched the whole thing. Watched the whole
Hey,
thing.
that's where it's at. I get 1/8 of a cent on that, so keeping me rich. What's happening, Fisha friends? I have a fun show tonight. I got the whole crew here. Rand Dizzle is on location. For those of you who know Dizzle, that's him. If you don't know Dizzle, that's Dizzle. We got Kuda. Kuda, introduce yourself. Tell everybody, give everybody the 30-second elevator speech. Who you are.
What's happening, folks? I am Barracuda. I am Kuda Jig Squad. I'm the founder of Jig Squad. We are just jig talking fools. We like fishing. We like Debo. And we're just here to hang out. And Dizzle, I'm most excited because Dizzle's voice is back. So many people in the chat, guys, I recognize so many different names and I see so many different people. So it's very cool. Hopefully you guys get to know us a little bit tonight. I'm just happy to be here, chit chat, hang out with this crew and have some fun and talk with everyone in chat. That's me.
Right on, man. I'm Eric from the Bass Lab and Kuda's Minister of Culture, as he likes to call me. So he'd been talking to me about Jig Squad and I'm like, you know what? The Bass Lab is all about custom creations, and Jig Squad is all about celebrating the best jig designers in North America. Whether you're a do-it guy, or whether you're a home guy, or whether you've got your own mold, or whether you have no lead pouring abilities like me, but you still make some jigs. I'm here to talk about jigs tonight, and love it, man. Thanks for the invite, Debo. I see a lot of names in the stream that are new to me, and some people that the streams that I'm on. You know, Smallmouth Crush being the primary co-host of that show. I've been on the Bass University and a host of other streams, Baitman, and I like getting around and talking baits because I am a bait geek. I love baits.
He likes baits.
I love
you can't tell
hacking baits.
Background.
Right.
You might have a small love for baits.
It's just tiny. I'm trying to kick it, but it just doesn't work.
Just a few.
Yeah, we've
I just need that other pack. Another pack. That's all.
Just one more. Just one more.
It's like an iceberg, Dizzle. It's what you don't see. It's what you got to worry about.
Exactly.
Very true. I could sink the Titanic with crankbaits.
Samuel's Fishing. I want to give a thanks to you. Thank you for the donation. Of course, anybody that donates, I always appreciate it. I never ask you guys and gals for it, but it means a lot. And Samuel, if you have a question, let me know. Anybody that donates or whatever, I always want to make sure I highlight those and answer whatever questions you have.
Very cool.
If there's a question burning a hole in your pocket and you got a buck or whatever, I always make sure I call those out. I try to get to the good ones like Chris Russ, another Iowa boy. He said, is the location family bathroom at Walmart? Wondering about, we always tease Dizzle about his Walmart connection, but it actually looks good. No, Dizzle. So I have to say thank you to everyone for giving Dizzle enough crap. He's actually at the old lady's house and he took time out to join the stream. You know how much that means to me?
That's very cool.
Yeah. I thought we lost Dizzle, but
I do have to say to Chris, I saw one comment scroll by real quick. I'm probably checking out the Altoona Bass Pro Shop either tomorrow or the next day, just because I found that on my drive home, I passed by a Cabela's and 2 Bass Pro Shops. It's an expensive trip home every single time. It's like I go in there, I'm like, okay, I got 5 minutes. I'm just gonna run to the fishing section real quick, and I'm like,
it's a plan.
Tumblers.
Set a limit. Set a time limit for yourself. There you go.
And a budget. And a budget.
Yeah. And a budget.
Neither work.
Cash only. Just walking with cash. A hundo.
It's like I just have the carry basket. You can't buy that much stuff in a carry basket.
Now, Dizzle,
$300. What happened there?
Are you prepping for spring already, buddy? So if you go shopping, what are you shopping for?
Honestly, I'm gonna look for anything new.
Okay.
I always want to check out anything new. It doesn't matter what time of season or year it is.
Heck yeah, man.
I want to see new stuff. I'm always gonna hit the Rage chunk trailers because that's my go-to trailer for my jigs. And I'm gonna hit the War Eagle jig section because I love the War Eagle jigs.
Okay.
There you go.
The finesse jig, the finesse jig, the ball head.
God.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, I found a little ball head jig you might just want to look at tonight. I don't know. It's Jig Squad night, but let's talk about it later. Keep going.
Yeah,
He's gonna bring it up.
I'll always go there,
yeah.
and God, I always seem like here's my biggest issue about going to any of these places on a whim.
Yep.
Is I'm like, oh, I need line. That's it. I got to get line. I don't know how many pounds or how many spools of 20-pound red label cigar that I have. All 20 pound. And I'm like, I don't need any more 20 pound. I need 15 or 12 and 17. I always get 20 for some reason. Like 20 is my go-to.
How do you like the red label, man? I hear it's really freaking good and reasonably priced. I mean, you fish it a ton, right? Walmart carries it, right?
About it. Yeah, Debo told me about it, and I started using it. It is a little stiff once you get up to around 20 pounds, but it's not terrible. It's definitely fishable. Traditionally, I go 20 straight to 15. I don't really use anything in between 20 and 15.
Okay.
And then usually with what is it? The Stealth or the what's the other one that you use, Debo?
The Tactical. If you want Tactical.
Yes, the Tactical
Tactical
is
fluorocarbon. Sure. P-line.
That stuff is butter.
Mm-hmm.
Buttery smooth.
But
yeah, the 20 pound is amazing.
Are you a big game man? Berkeley big game? Like if you're not using fluoro, do you go to big game?
It's actually I'm primarily fluoro. If I'm not using fluoro, I'm using like some sort of like 65-pound braid. Just because around here there's so many pike where I fish for bass. Like in my area compared to DEBO'S, even though we're like an hour drive away from each other. Like the amount of pike that I have compared to him is 10 to 1 easy.
Yeah, crazy. Wow, that's nuts. So I'm gathering you're a power fisherman.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. DEBO'S going, power.
Yeah.
He's a power guy.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yep.
He doesn't even like carrying a spinning rod because it gets tangled and everything. So he curses it every time he even.
So you would like the shirt that I'm wearing under this hoodie, and maybe later I'll show it. It's from my buddy over at Tacklecraft, and if you haven't seen it, you're gonna crack up. But Debo would not like it. But there's a flip side to the shirt that he's making for the people who do love it. Now that I've got your attention, I'll show it later. Remind me to show it because Dizzle, this is your shirt for sure. If you're not throwing a spinning rod, I know you're not throwing the thing I'm referring to. I'll just say it that way. This is like me and Scooter.
Is it a three-letter bait?
It is. Me and my partner, my team partner, Scooter Lilly. He is power, and I throw power, but I like finesse as well. So I'm a junk fisherman. I grew up as a junk man. I mean, I'm a spinner rod in my hand when I first was a kid growing up. I was just telling who was I talking to? John DeMay from Dem Jigs. And he's going to be on Jig Squad later, real soon.
Couple weeks.
And I was talking about, I'm a lifetime subscriber to Bassmaster magazine. I spent $150 on my paper route money to get that subscription. And I remember reading an article. I was talking about throwing a zero inline MEP spinner at the front lake in front of my community. And I caught a limit of bass like early spring. It was super cold, slow rolling on 6-pound tests. And then I remember another moment where I threw a Johnson silver minnow, the gold one, with a sliver of trash bag cut to make it look like an Uncle Josh pork strip. A trash bag.
That's thinking outside the box.
And I'll tell you what, it's one of the I've never done it since, but I did it a bunch as a kid for spinner bait and spoon trailers. And the action of that trash bag, it sounds stupid to say, was incredible. What a bait hack.
Oh, yeah.
Cheaper than pork and plentiful.
Cheaper than pork, yeah.
My mom was like, what is that trash bag all cut up in the garage, Eric? And I'm like, Mom.
Eric, what about an inline spinner? Look at what Samuel's asking. Samuel's asking, what's your favorite winter bait? So I the only reason I'm saying this is because inline spinner, I would use an inline spinner in the winter any day of the week.
Slow roll that thing.
For trout around here.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Pike love the inline spinners in the winter.
Pickerel too.
Yeah, I'm an inline spinner fan when you said that. And I don't throw it probably any other time of the year, but you have to keep in mind too, I'm talking about taking kids fishing, now too,
Sure.
right? So like it's a different kind of philosophy sometimes. So
right on. I'm a blade bait guy. Binsky. The Binsky blade. Binsky.
That's something I really need to get better at, because it's like, and you guys probably have the same deal, but I mean, we have, 4 months of potentially 3 months of ice,
right?
Depending on the year, 2 months.
Wow.
But that kind of in between time where it's crappy, and I feel like our winter fishing is pretty small. It's not like we have a full year open water where it's it's really cold. The water's 49 degrees. It's winter. It's like, well, hey, that'd be nice.
Right.
So like really cold water though, I mean, it's hard to beat a suspending jerk bait, but finesse jigs. I mean, Randall got me turned on to finesse jigs. Anywhere you can find it's a little bit warmer, and throw that finesse jig. But yeah, jerk baits.
In rocks, so real early spring, actually just after ice out on the Great Lakes or river systems too. I like to throw like Cool Baits has an underspin, like an underspin bladed jig.
Nice.
And typically I think they're all willows on the Cool Baits, but I mean, you can, if you make your own jigs, you can use that. But the thing for me when it's real cold out is on the bottom and literally just ticking it along, tick, tick, tick on the bottom. Other times of the year, I'm not really ticking any underspinned jigs on the bottom as much, but spring and after ice out to spawn, you tick that along the bottom. Hold on, you're gonna get crushed.
A big deal, like in the herring lakes where they get into those little cuts, little pockets off the main lake. The herrings sit on the bottom. You cast your freaking underspin out there, man, with a little Zoom Super Fluke Junior, and just barely creep that thing along, pull it, and man, it's they're there. They're laying on the bottom. You can't even see them on their electronics. It's crazy. You can't even see them on live scope. I need to
pick your brain for a blueback herring episode. I had a subscriber, my guy Philip. I don't know if he's in here or not, but he sent me a ton of blueback herring stuff, and I know nothing about fishing blueback herring lakes. So I think it'd be fun to do, a show on that.
Sure, man. The whole clay point thing, and absolutely, man. The herring spawn and different ways to approach it different times of year. I know a little bit about it. I fish herring lakes with Scooter. It changes bass behavior. Those knuckleheads chase those herrings. They literally ditch. There's always fish shallow in a herring lake, but there are herring eaters, and they just get dialed into it. So
it's crazy.
It's just nuts, man. It makes me want to pull my hair out. But anyway, it's crazy.
Sandy Classic, Arthur's wife, Fish Daddy's wife.
Yeah.
She says, what can I do to stop spending all of our money on baits? Actually, judging from y'all's backgrounds, you have no idea.
I can't help.
I can't help either, Sandy.
No, I can. You got to get yourself a few molds here, Sandy. Get yourself a few molds and start liking jigs more.
So they make soft plastic. Arthur makes, I already put it back there. It's back in my wall of stuff that I don't throw. But Arthur and Sandy made a beautiful soft plastic. They make swim baits.
Swim baits, nice.
Swim baits, yep.
Oh wow, very cool.
And Sandy, there's probably a lot of people that do it, but she was the first person that I saw. They would pour like a skin layer because they do like open pour molds. So they'd pour like a skin layer, dump it all out, and it's in the halves so you can see it. And she will paint, like she uses makeup and like all these other things to paint, like on the inside of them
with like pigments and stuff, right?
Yeah, with like pigments.
I've seen some of their stuff on Instagram, and it's really cool stuff. The first time I saw that, Debo, was watching World's Worst Fishing, right?
Oh, yep. He's another one that does a ton of stuff.
And then I start watching everyone else making plastics, and hats off, because these plastic swim baits are like a whole nother art form now, with the skin pouring and then the pigment painting on the inside. Nate does it too. Some very cool stuff.
You can go down the rabbit hole with all of it, right? Jigs, swim baits. I mean, my gosh, that's the beauty of the business, in my opinion, and just the fun of it. The magic for me is just the exploration. I mean, Dizzle, you were talking about, when you hit the store, you're looking for something new. There's always that search. It's kind of like fishing, right? Fishing is the eternal hope that at any moment, any cast, it could be the fish of your lifetime. And I think it's the same thing with being a bait hound. Is there that undiscovered bait? And that got me like down the rabbit hole of JDM. My first entree into it was, I'm a crankbait nut. and especially a balsa bait nut, right? And there are certain balsa baits that super unique, they hunt, right? But you never know when you're going to get that special one that hunts, right? Hunting is, it comes off center a little bit, comes back to square. And so I just Googled, hunting action crankbait. I don't even know if that was the term. And I found a Japanese plastic crankbait with an engineered blade on the back, and I'll show it to DEBO'S subscribers. It's one of my favorites.
Show it.
This is the Imakatsu wattle bat, and they make several different sizes. And this little triangular blade on the bottom is what imparts the hunting action. It's all about hydrodynamics, and so that's why JDM designers get me like goofy. This bait, you cannot overpower it, you cannot burn it. So if you're you want to burn a crankbait, this is the absolute wrong one. But during pre-spawn and certainly post-spawn when they're guarding fry, this thing just gets chewed, and it'll be swimming along and go out and then come right back to center and pop out and then come back little shorts. It's just never, you can't predict where it's going. And Imakatsu also makes a chatterbait that does the same thing, and I've had tremendous success on it. So that got me going. And from then on, Dizzle, it was like a DEBO. I'm like, there must be more in Japan. I have to find it.
What's the weight on that, Eric?
I don't even know. It's probably like
it's super
quarter.
They always do it in grams. I have to consult my gram chart. I hate it. So it's it's not a 3/8 ounce, but it might be. You can chuck it. Like yeah. So anyway,
shallow diver. Is that pretty shallow?
Yes. So they have a diving bats as well. But yeah, this wattle bats probably goes 3 feet, maybe 4, depending on your line size, of course, right? But you'll thank me. It's expensive, but literally, if your fish haven't seen it, they will eat it like they haven't seen it.
Like, I feel like I've been to like bait shows or like small local tackle shops and things like that, and picked up a lure that I thought looked really, really cool. That had that really erratic motion to it, and I was like, garbage. This is broken. Why am I using this? This thing sucks. I probably gave it to DEBO, and he went out and caught a tank with it.
A lot of people say that because essentially people think, and I'm not as versed in the crankbait world, but I do understand the fact that when people say, "Oh yeah, this crank feels like it's going to blow out," I go, "But did it blow out?" Because if it feels like it's about to blow out, but then it doesn't, hang on to that crank, because that's exactly what hunting, to a lot of people, they think it is. There are. It's just if it doesn't blow out, then this is what you want. That's hunting.
Oh yeah, some bait designers have balsa bait designers in particular have said they've engineered it. There's a few that are coming out that are maybe in production. There was one back in the day, Black Market, I think it was, balsa. Dave Ryan, I think it's Black Market, not Black Label, Black Market, and he swore he figured out how to engineer hunting action in a replica kind of balsa B1 from Bagley. Crazy. I bought a few. They did hunt. They were expensive back then. I paid $40 for the bait. That's a leap of faith. And so, for pike guys, right? I don't have northern pike here as much as you guys do. I have chain pickerel, but there are mudfish here, Reynolds, and man, I mean, you just want to throw up if you like. I'm square billing where I can go get it, or I'm taking a swim.
You better have a good pocket knocker with you.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's for sure,
right,
man. Anybody got a hack for a pocket hawker? Do you buy yours, or do you make them?
I bought one. Who was it? Bass Geek showed one where it's like essentially, a big egg sinker, like a 2 or 3 ounce, 4 ounce egg sinker.
Right.
It's got like 2 little tiny, like springs
plastic
on it.
Pigtail things.
Line it on and
Yep.
Didn't you have a hound?
I do. I bought the hound, the lure hound.
Do you like it?
Fine from the boat. It works fine from the boat, but from the bank, because when you're bringing stuff to you from the bank, you get it caught behind something.
Up higher.
Down. Yeah, it's just hitting. Like, you have to have a telephone pole to be able to get it to hit straight down. So I just end up breaking.
Oh man, I've lost some good ones in my day, but what are you gonna do?
Sucks. Fat Boy Fishing with $1.99. Thank you, brother. He's been a long-time supporter. I appreciate my friend. Comments are going. I'm over here trying to look at comments, and I can't even keep up. They are zinging through.
They are, man. It's great.
Real Appalachian Angler. Just recently got my first jig mold and melting pot, etc.
Nice.
I started with shaky heads. Ooh, Randall would approve of that.
Yep.
Going to try flipping jigs next.
Nice.
Any suggestions are helpful as well? you have the gentleman here to help.
I got
what do you
questions.
What do you think,
I got
fellas?
questions. Best all-around jig head for flipping. Dizzle, Kuda, go. Dizzle.
I
first
got an
because
answer.
you're
Dizzle, you
the
go,
jig man.
brother. I have an answer for real Appalachian angler, including what's in stock, isn't in stock, and what can be found. But Dizzle, go ahead, throw out what you think.
I am the exception to the majority of fishermen.
Okay.
Like the majority of fishermen will get into a niche, a niche, whatever you want to call it, of a specific lure that they love. Debo loves fishing frogs. Debo will fish all the frogs. It doesn't really matter which one it is. He will fish all of them. I love fishing jigs. I want to fish War Eagle jigs. War Eagle, finesse,
Round
ball head jigs.
Ball head jigs, man.
That's what I want to fish. It doesn't really necessarily matter what I'm pitching into, what I'm going after. I want to fish the ball head jig. That's
okay. Hold on. Let me ask you a question, Dizzle.
Go ahead.
Do some of the War Eagles have a cross eye, or otherwise known as a horizontal tie? I don't know for sure.
No.
Is it a vertical, a classic vertical styled ball head type of jig, or is it turned?
I believe I believe it's turned, and they have.
Okay.
God, I want to say they have like more of like a punching jig that's a little bit heavier and not a round head. I have no idea what it is. It's like one of those things like, you're going to catch a fish here if you throw X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
I've been ingrained with the guys that I grew more into fishing with. Like my best buddy, Johnny, he always threw a jig. He taught me how to throw a jig. He was like, slow down, too fast, slow down, stop, slow down, like constantly all the time. And I say that out loud, like
horizontal.
Yeah. Okay.
There it is. Mm-hmm.
So listen, this is a great point to make. Okay. So for anyone in chat or that isn't aware of just some real basic general differences, and this doesn't hold true 100% of the time, but when you have a vertical line tie, which basically means it's going to be in line with the shank of the hook, okay, you're gonna use jigs with those vertical line ties that are going to be more for coming through grass. You're going to be swim jigs are going to have that a little bit more. But when you have a cross eye and it's turned on a 90-degree angle from right, that's a vertical line tie. What Debo's holding up right now, okay. When it's turned like the previous jig Debo just held up, those are what you classically see when people are talking about flipping and pitching jigs. And the reason is because they are designed to come through wood structure more effectively and they're meant to be pulled over the tops of structure, right? Particularly for guys fishing docks, in timber. Those are the types of jigs that you want to be throwing. Now, for what it's worth, everything depends on where you fish, right? If you're a caster and a cranker, you could throw vertical jigs all day long.
Well,
right?
grass too, really importantly. I'm a grass rat, so grass, it's vertical all day, right?
And then expand on that, Eric. So it's not only vertical, but what expands and increases the experience of casting jigs is not just straight 90. And I actually throw 90 almost through anything, right? But I know, like when you see things labeled as swim jigs, you'll always see that it's like I call them 45s. I don't know if anyone has a jig designed as a 45, but they'll call it a 20, a 30, a 60, just like Debo's holding up right there. Though that's a classic swim jig. It's designed, it's angled to come through the grass more effectively. So,
and a head shape that's a little different than a ball head, right? So
yes, slightly pointed to shear off whatever it's going through.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what changes fit and function. Now, you'll talk to plenty of guys that say, I don't care.
Well, see, so that's the funny thing is because I will say Randy is so adamant about, I won't say all the time. However, there was a day where he insisted that the ball-headed jig was going to get eaten, demolished.
Every day.
That he was throwing it on the edges of grass and in grass pockets and out fishing. That's the day I was telling you guys about.
Sure. Said, edges and pockets, but I agree there. Edges and pockets, right?
Yeah.
But if you're swimming through straight up coontail, that's a tougher sled.
Yeah. So the majority of instances, I'm not going to throw like a ball head through that kind of stuff. I'm going to throw more like a swim jig. But
right on.
In any other outside of like heavy grass,
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a jig and I'm gonna do everything that you would with a swim jig, maybe even like a spinner bait. Like I'm gonna do everything I can with that jig itself. Sometimes I
That's
may just
so
huck it
cool.
out there
Yeah.
and burn it back, and it's
That's
just a
so cool,
jig.
man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
You're
also
swimming it
don't
through the
stick.
water column. I mean, wow. Tell
Like
me.
Dizzle,
Go ahead.
Go
I got
ahead,
so many.
Eric.
I got so many questions, man. So you. This is really cool, though. I think this is a really important point. Somebody asked a question: how do you stop spending money? You be more like Dizzle and master one
Yes.
bait. Become a master of that bait and
Well, that's
all
actually
the
why.
situations. Right there, you go.
And so
Because he's
the
keeping that
thing
rod in his hand, right?
is you don't necessarily have to vary away from that one bait either. So like
Sure.
myself, I tell Debo all the time, I'm like, he's like, what are you throwing? I'm like, oh, a jig. And he's like, you're yo-yoing it. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah. And then I pull it up and it's like a green pumpkin with like a bright purple jig trailer or something like
Sure.
that. I tend to go away from a lot of times, and this is probably what Debo beats me with all of his dinks traditionally is, he'll throw, like the
He said dinks,
combination
Eric.
patterns.
He did.
And so like what I'll do is I'll just throw any two colors that sometimes it happens to be like, oh, I reach into my bag and I found these trailers. This is the trailer I want. It might not be the color I want, but I'm going to throw
Sure.
it on this jig and throw it anyway and see what
Sure.
happens.
Sure.
There was one day Debo and I were out fishing and God, what was it? Johnny, the guy that really got me into throwing a jig, was out there and he had a round ball jig head. It was from like a local guy from where I'm around. Round ball jig with a white head and a white skirt, and he threw like a white, some sort of white trailer, and then he painted the tips red. I have no idea how many fish he caught with that, but he dominated. So I went down to the store and I was like, "Oh, where are your guys' skirts at? Just your blank skirts." And I was like, "Oh, there's a bunch of white ones. Let me grab all the white ones they have just for a random
And
circumstance."
he did it that day we were out too. I saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
Randy had told me about it.
So
Yeah,
He
crazy.
did it that day we were out.
I took
I
a
don't know if it's like
non-war
a
eagle
dead
and pulled the
shad
skirt
with like
off.
blood or
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a dead or a regular jig, not a war eagle, just like any random jig that I happened to run across. Pulled the skirt off, threw the white one on there, and threw whatever white jig trailer I had on there, and painted the craws or the tails red. And I don't know, it's unconventional. People won't do that kind of stuff, and it's like something different's
something different they
probably
haven't
going to work
seen.
one day or another.
It mirrors a shad. It makes sense. I mean, bass
Yep.
love shad, bass love craws. I mean, you're imitating the two things they love the most. And then some type of a bait fish. I mean, a jig could be a bluegill, it could be a craw,
Yep.
it could be some other bait fish, a sculpin, a minnow. I mean, oh my gosh, right? It is the most versatile, probably because it can be swam at any depth in the water column, right?
Yeah.
It fools them. It
So-
fools them for sure. Wow.
I was going to say too quick, fishing with grains, talking about saving money. I think a lot of people kind of agree the Arky head or some sort of Arky similar head is one of the best all around to throw. So if you're just getting into the jig game, either a round ball head, if you fish around rocks a lot, I think it's the best to fish rocks. A round head of ball jig like this, if you fish a lot of rocky fishing jetties, or just like an Arky jig, you can even fish rocks with it too. But if you're fishing from the bank specifically, try to go with as light of a jig as you can get away with and still feel it.
What
Good
was that
advice.
day? I was throwing my regular jig head size, and you went down just one
3/8.
below
I
it,
went to a 5/16.
and you dominated like a 3/8 to a 5/16. Just that little bit of a weight difference.
Wow.
I think you stuck like almost a 5 that day, or maybe a little bit over a 5.
That's awesome, man.
And
No,
and I don't
actually,
think I
that day
caught
that-
anything.
Was it rate of fall in your opinion that got Debo the better bag that day? Because it's depth, speed, right? Depth, speed, and then I say something else: cadence. Your yo-yoing is a cadence. Your steady reel with some snaps is a cadence. Your drag, pop, stop is a cadence, right?
Yeah.
Jerk baiting, very cadence driven, right?
I think it was a combo of potentially his cadence, like cadence / drop, and then overall profile.
Yeah.
Even though
Ooh,
there's that
interesting.
small of a difference. And usually
interesting.
what I'll do is I'll take a war eagle and
Sure.
I'll cut the skirt down. Like
Sure.
I'll cut it down a significant amount, maybe
Yep.
not quite half, but almost
Okay.
half.
Right,
And then
beyond the hook bend. Beyond
Yep,
the hook bend, just a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. My trailer is a very small trailer too. It's the Rage chunk trailer, right, Debo?
Okay.
So it's a small trailer to begin with.
Mm.
And like I can make that thing look almost the exact same size of what DEBO'S is, but then you get even more into it, and his skirt, the I guess the strings of his skirt are so much smaller than what mine are.
Interesting.
And so again, that goes into a little bit more of the fall profile, things like that. His can flutter a little bit more, where mine may
in the
stick
fall,
together a little bit more.
small.
So
Sure. Sparser, thinner, more flow.
there's
Cuda,
yep.
more flow.
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
Do you guys like, this is the 4 square box question. Do you thread your trailer, or do you actually put it on like a pork chunk?
I'm a threader.
Threader.
I'm more of
All the
a
time.
thread, but if I
Okay.
have one that if I'm running low, because a lot of times, Debo and I will go out and we'll just grab whatever in a little small bag, and if I run out or start running low on trailers, I'll pinch off the ends and put that trailer back on, where I'm getting more like a pork trailer than threading.
Smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's crafty. Hey, Cuda, does has Do It created a mold that can contain a screw lock yet for a keeper system?
So they're
actually, or do they have it?
There's a ball head with a keeper, and then there's also like a
wire keeper, but not a
like
screw
the
lock.
spiral. The spiral.
Oh, wow.
One. There's a ball head that I just got, and then
Wow.
there's also another one that it's almost like a worm. I think it's a worm nose head with a spiral keeper, and they also have the shaky ones that have like it's angled, but I'm talking straight in line with the shank. There's a ball head, and then like a modified mushroom, not a mushroom head. What would it be? A worm nose head, I think is what it's technically called.
Very cool.
So they have that, and that's great for. So I want to ask this real quick, and I know Gramps was asking this, and other people were asking about this. So Arky, guys, when it comes to flipping anything Arky, there's about 5 different style molds out there, right? But I'm going to throw one more out there that everyone doesn't talk about all the time, and it's called a Sparky. Yes. And basically, look at Debo.
Debo, show me that head, man.
Debo's always got one.
Brian's Customs, though.
Yes, that's a Sparky head.
It's gonna be me solo layout.
So Gramps, this is the one, Sparky, baby.
With an IE or Y?
IE, I think. Here, I'll look it up right now.
So it's almost like a flathead, kind of like shaky head type of, but then rounded a little bit. Okay, yeah, I get on board.
It's IE, and so it's similar in style, fit and function to the Arky, right? But it's just a little wider. It's more pancake-ish.
So it would skip good. It would stay stable, right? It should come over and slide over cover nicely, right?
Yes.
Right. Would it get snagged less because it has a wider head? Maybe like in rocks potentially.
I think I have to be honest, Eric. I have not made a lot of Arky style jigs myself.
Sure.
Because I just used the Sparky. And I've said this on the Jig Squad stream. The reason I started using the Sparky is because that's what the saltwater guys used, and I was making bucktails for fish and snook.
Right on.
And by the way, guys, I live in the suburbs of Chicago, for what it's worth, so I don't not chasing a lot of snook. But
you were from Boston. I was going to try to bring that up.
That's right. I came that out to Boston. though. The Pick Shit Irish, they'll take me out there for a little while.
There's snook down in you can get schnookered in Central Illinois or something like that, right?
Yeah, you do. There's
schnookered.
a couple other things that happen in Central Illinois.
I almost got there, but I thought I was getting schnookered. I wasn't sure. Oh man.
So I mean,
the Sparky head. I'll tell you this. So
I love it.
Frank Scalish talk about the Sparky head, and a winter tip. If you guys don't fish the Sparky head and you have lakes with grass, you absolutely need to find Frank Scalish talking about grass fishing late, like before the ice comes, when everybody's off the water, fishing the Sparky head with the beaver style bait and absolutely murder them. Like 8-pound test. So Dizzle, it ain't 20 red label.
Yeah.
And it must be 8 pound. I'm just there you go. And is that what hook is that they're showing? It's
so that Sparky, here, I'm going to tell you several different things. So that Sparky jig mold was, notice that it says saltwater. It is designed to be a saltwater, but that jig was designed originally.
Oh, wow.
For the eagle, for an eagle claw. I don't know what the number is of the eagle claw.
It says a 410 or a 413.
But what I'll tell you is the new Victory hooks. You see the tinned one on the right, Debo? The tinned hooks, the saltwater tinned hooks, are phenomenal in this Sparky mold, and they're insanely strong. I personally love making them with those. But in addition, Victory has tinned hooks out as well, and you also can get by with some mustad hooks. Now, I have to remember if the new Sparky, because I have the one without the weed guard and with the weed. I just got the one with the weed guard because I didn't have it. I would fish the Sparky head without the weed guards, folks.
Sure.
But some of the mold is also classically designed, if I'm not mistaken, to take a vertical or a horizontal. I'm going to check this. If anyone messages me, I'll confirm when I open the mold. To take vertical and horizontal hooks. I don't know if Brennan's still in chat, if he could back me up on that or not. I'm not sure which one. I have to physically go look. But guys, listen, this mold is fantastic. I love it. Hey, for what it's worth, if you chase down any one of the guys that are kind of working with Do It, whether it be Devo, myself, Fishing with Gramps, and follow our links, you'll find it. But here's the thing, guys. If you go to Barlow's, you go to Lure Parts Online, wherever you go to find molds, go find your molds. You get them where you could get your product, right? And the thing is, here's my little pimp, and I'm not going to spend the whole night talking about Jig Squad, but what I'm going to tell you is what you hear me say tonight.
Baby, it's awesome.
What you hear me say tonight is how things go, right? Eric and I are as honest as the day is long. I'm an old school jig pour. Eric is an old school fly tire creator, and we both get excited about these things, and we're not going to blow smoke at you. And do we think there's one way of doing it? Hey guys, we're not the Cool Jigs Club, right? That's not it. We're just Jig Squad. That's how we do things. We're as chilled as you get, and we want you to pour jigs and learn how to pour jigs. And if somebody tells you this is the only way you could fish, the best thing I heard tonight was Dizzle. Let me roll. I'm on a roll. When Dizzle said I like ball head jigs, guess what? Gerald Swindle agrees with you. Gerald Swindle loves ball head jigs, and I agree with you too. I would almost throw a ball head jig over any other style jig 9 times out of 10.
I built my little shaky jig worm on a ball head jig. Did you see that, Dizzle?
Show him.
Dizzle, you got to check this out, man.
That. He already confiscates, or should I say, borrows too much.
Acquires.
Since I know you like the, the round head, right? So I wanted a shaky jig worm. So I tied it like a little bit long with some crystal flash.
Yeah.
Hey,
I palmered the front, and then there's
use your magnifier, Eric. Use your magnifier.
Gosh, look at that. Oh yeah, let's bring out. For all you guys that are about
look at this.
Right, man. Look at that, man. Look at that build. That's a little bit of combination.
There's the magnifier.
It's got man. Check that out.
Look at that.
That's a bad mamma jamma, man. That is accounted for Dizzle. That's accounted for a lot of big fish on my rivers, man.
This is the best use of your magnifier yet.
Like the last part of my year, and I like a flat. This is one with a flat tail worm, but I like a flat bottom worm. This is a worm that's out of production. I wish they didn't stop making it, but it's just got a lot of, it will float up. There's no salt in this thing. I don't love Z-Man because they're really hard to rig. I love Z-Man products, but I don't like them on a shaky head. But green pumpkin, but you can throw anything on the back of it, man. It's really cool. I wish I could make more, but Debo and I were talking about it, man. You work all day, you come down to the lab, and you're like, do I have the energy to tie up 6 of these? No, I don't, but I wish I did. Anyway, I painted that one with a little nail polish. So that would have been Do It. I think that was my Protect paint, Cuda, and then I put a little nail polish over the Protect. So I love
the colors on that one, Eric.
Yeah,
it's just different. It's just different.
Yeah. This is my little perch one, but I protect it, and then basically I'll take nail polish and I'll add a little flake to it, So nail polish is a great little addition. Even if you guys do dip and pour, there's so much going on with nail polish, man. It's crazy. So, there you go.
Have fun with it, guys.
Debo, when I get back, I'm coming over. Like 100%. I'd like
building creations. I've actually got a shaky head mold that we could mess around with.
I'm just gonna be out. I'm just gonna be out in your garage for like 3 or 4
I'll
days
be in here
or
working. You
weeks.
can just go out there and build whatever the hell you want. I don't care. You build
Dude, I know.
Crack the door open and I'll scurry over to the corner. What do you want from me?
I wish they would make a
girls.
Sparky.
Girls don't feed him, but keep staying out there longer.
So time out, Kuda. Kuda.
Yep.
Can that Sparky 1/8 ounce in that Do It jig mold or 3/16, can you put a wire keeper in there?
Oh, I could do anything, bro. You remember I told you about the adjuster?
Oh yeah, the adjuster. So this is a
good
story
like the adjuster.
Jig making. I
want to try it. I don't want to ruin my mold. I need to buy another mold. But so I was talking to Nick, Fat Boy Fishing. I don't know if he's still in here, but I was like, dude, I want to get a nice, the exact same mold, because I've got this mold, essentially the round ball head mold to make mine. Y'all, everybody's seen me make those.
Yeah.
It's essentially the War Eagle, except the War Eagle has one step higher or heavier hook than what I have. And I'm like, I would really like to make them with that little bit heavier hook, because even on the Do It mold site, it says this does not, in big like letters, accept that heavier hook unless you Dremel it out. Or so Kuda, how do you adjust your mold? What I mean is
the adjuster.
So Arthur, I hope that Bluetooth thing is coming. These keep popping out. Arthur said he sent me a Bluetooth thing so I can hook it up to my computer. But what we're talking about here is this is the mold. It's a cast aluminum mold, and so it has a specific hook that fits in this little hole. The eye fits there, and then the shank of the hook comes down through here, and that's how these work, right? Well, what Kuda's saying is to adjust that. So if you want to get a heavier hook, Kuda, instead of dremeling it out and making it bigger, how do you do it?
So it took years to figure this out, but you have to use the adjuster. And so basically a scrap, you need to go find yourself a scrap piece of 2x4, right? Small little square. And you close the mold out in your garage or on a hard surface, right? Put the block of wood on the top, right? Close it up. You put the hook in that you want to fit. That doesn't fit.
Hook that you need to make room for, right? Because if you have too big of a hook, you'll put it in there. It'll be like just a little bit of a crack like that, where you can see, oh, it's not this hook's slightly too big. And what he's saying
that's
is
a very good description.
Yeah, slightly too big a hook in. Put
the piece of wood like a sandwich, and then you take a hammer or a rubber mallet and you smack the piss out of it. Maybe 2 adjustments. It's kind of it's like a chiropractor. You shouldn't need more than 3 adjustments.
Chiropractor.
The Chiro block.
The Jigocractor.
We should get a shirt made like that, the adjuster.
Yeah. Wow!
So I completely forgot to say, since we're doing Jig Squad, we're at 43 minutes. I forgot to say this at the beginning. So for any of you fair weather fans that jumped on and said, oh, he's not doing a giveaway. It's a secret giveaway. It's 43 minutes in. I'm going to do a giveaway here in a bit. But
look at man, I can't sign in to put my name in hashtag anything.
Oh man!
First few things that I made was messing around. This is actually one Brian's. I haven't seen him in my my chat or anything, but so showing this is one that he sent me as knowing that I'm a Hawkeye lover. He's got these 2. I forget what you guys called it. Rabbit fur strip things.
Zonker strips.
Zonker strips. There you go.
Here, make yourself big, Debo, so you show that, because that's a delicious looking little bait there.
No, Debo, you're gonna have to do something else.
Oh, you mean on screen? Oh, I see.
That's cool.
So these things are like rabbit fur strips, and he's even got some, I don't know what this is in here, like coarse hair stuff.
It's either bucktail or marabou. I can't tell. Probably bucktail.
I think it's bucktail. It's coarse.
Yeah,
it's not a marabou. But yeah, he does have the marabou or the whatever that stuff is up here.
A little collar up top.
But anyway, he makes these. He hand ties these. Check them out. Brian's Custom. I purchased ice jigs from him. Is really what I wanted.
I love his work.
These in for free. Yeah,
he's
super
so
nice
good.
Cat. Very nice dude.
He's so good.
I don't know where I threw mine, but anyway, I stole his idea, and I say this is okay because I'm not selling these or trying to make money off it. I would never try to copy another bait maker, but for my own personal use, I did tie a couple feathers that I had. I had some like crazy feathers.
That's crazy.
Tied them in back, kind of like looking like a craw deal, and I would still Probably
What'd you put? Are those guinea feathers or what are they called?
It sure does look like it.
Beautiful.
He robbed his wife's down pillows.
That's off the Debo boa.
Yeah, I was like,
chartreuse boa.
What do you call the things that were scarf? Honey, that feather scarf.
The boa.
Nice. Yeah. Can I see that for a second? She's
like Macho Man.
Boa? And I had to.
Was it Macho Man that had the boa?
He had boas or something like it, right?
Hey, Debo, can I join the giveaway to a second person tonight? Because I think it would be cool to throw something out there from the Bass Lab.
Hell yes. So I'll throw out some.
God, why can't I join this giveaway?
Hair and fur. So I'll just take a few of these and throw to somebody. Eric, what do you got? Do you have something?
All right. I'm going to throw in the, this is the fire crawl shaky jig worm. And then I'm going to throw it in with a pack of my Bass Lab stickers. Dr. Frankenstein for all you crankbait nuts out there. Legendary Lakes
got
Tour.
Dizzle's attention when you said stickers.
Dude, you literally have never watched any of the other lives because traditionally behind my left-hand shoulder is my tall safe. My tall safe is covered from top to bottom with stickers.
What? Dizzle, I have to get you a set, man. I have to get you a set,
stickers.
Dude. I do too, man. I'm a sticker freak. And these come in large and small. This is the last one, River Rat, and I've also got the small set. So I'll throw in a super set, both large and small, and the shaky jig worm, which I think you guys will love. So
we appreciate
it, man.
Thank you. I need to do that. I appreciate it, though.
Why not, man? You're doing
Debo,
it.
Pick my
Why
name.
not throw it up?
Debo, pick my name.
So, Debo, do you want to do two giveaways? One for the Bass Lab, one for yours, or just send it all?
Oh, Dizzle won both of them. How does that work?
We'll choose one big winner. Okay. Get some Debo jigs, some Bass Lab jigs. So Clean Concepts, I'm sorry. Thank you for the donation. I feel like I've had it up here forever. I had a few questions I wanted to ask you guys too, and we're already at 47 minutes. Crap. And my ears are still cold from being out in 20-degree weather.
Hey, do you know it's 65 here today?
Seriously?
I went and bought shorts because it was too warm for me to be in jeans.
Where are you, bro?
Nebraska.
65?
Yeah.
Blowing my brain. What?
It's that warm there?
It's very warm here. It's just crazy because I drive 4.5 hours one way and it's 20 below. And then I drive here and it's 65 and sunny. And I'm like,
wow,
what the hell is going on?
Debo, we're throwing this in too. A beanie. I just got these in yesterday. Bass Lab beanie, man.
Hey, listen, I'm going to jump in on this one too. I'm going to throw in.
What are you throwing, Kuda?
I'm going to throw in.
Your beard here. We'll throw that in the
hold on, let's see. Let's see if you guys could see. Hold on. I'm going to throw in. I'm going to throw in 15.
Whoa.
15 wacky heads, 5 1/8 ounce, 5 3/32, and 5 16th ounce.
Man, those are the right sizes.
Unpainted. Too. If you, and that way you could paint them on your own and figure out you could get nail polish. You could paint them any damn color you want.
That's what I'm talking
about.
You don't have 15 of them.
Weighted wacky. And for all you guys that don't know and haven't fish weighted wacky, Google this. Inchy wacky. It's
Inchy wacky.
That was really pioneered in Japan called the Inchy wacky. Shin Fukai, who in my mind is the finesse master of all finesse masters, Shinichi Fukai. He probably does Inchy wacky better than anybody I've seen do it. So, and there's a lot of ways to fish Inchy wacky. Don't get me wrong. There's a zillion ways to fish it, but Inchy wacky's from Japan. Shin Fukai does it best. He's got some YouTube videos. Go check him out. That head that Kuda's just given away is the one.
I'll tell you what, fair play. Whoever wins, if you connect with me on Instagram separately and you tell me what colors you want, we could talk back and forth. I could tell you all the different options. If you tell me what colors you want, I'll powder paint them for you too.
What?
Debo, choose my
Debo. What the heck,
Debo? I'm looking dead at you in your eyes right now. Pick my name.
Brother, if I had enough time, I didn't even have anything planned tonight. I forgot I had this box next to me, and I saw it, and I'm like, listen, I'll just give away.
All you gotta do is
sides, Debo's side and Dizzle's side. I'm just gonna give away stuff from Dizzle's side, so it's fine.
Dizzle, you better get home, buddy. Don't go pick up those shorts. You get home and get over to DEBO'S house.
Don't you do
So-
it, Dizzle.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so where are we at? Okay, so clean concepts. Your question's been up here forever. I've got
All right, yes.
questions.
Oh,
What is it?
yes,
What
I
jig
have
would
an
you throw
answer for
bank
that.
fishing? What was the question?
So, what jig would you throw for bank fishing?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant before. Sorry. Go ahead. What do you
No,
got?
no. So my answer is any jig you're willing to break off. Because it doesn't matter
Good
what
point.
kind of jig you're going to
That's a
throw.
really good point.
If you're throwing around rock, you're throwing around wood, you're throwing around anything, you're going to break off jigs. There's been days where I've gone out and I've legitimately burnt through 20 jigs. Just break off, break off, like constantly.
That's
The biggest
point.
thing that you're going to have to understand when you're throwing a jig is you're going to lose them. They're going to get hung, you're going to get stuck, and it doesn't matter how many of those pullback, twisty, boomerang, shoddy things that you do, you're going to break off.
Yeah,
That's true.
Matthew Acevedo
Yeah.
brought that up earlier. Matthew's one of my local swim bait guys, good dude. But
he
he
is.
said, like throwing a football jig head, it's good around rock and stuff. The thing with the football jig head, and I think he said around smaller rocks, I think people get that's like a common misconception because I hear a lot of guys say, I fish riprap banks, so I throw a football head. Well, a football head is really, and Eric and Kuda, you guys can kind of tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but a football head is made to stand up and is made to drag, around rock and kind of work around stuff. As far as big chunk rock, I don't think football heads do that well. You're throwing like against riprap and fishing big bouldery.
And so Debo,
like
yeah, the thing that you need to point out is when, at least around here that I've noticed is when we're talking big chunk rock. So just think that, you need to replace your driveway and you bust out the jackhammer and you break up those big rocks and you're getting those big, like bigger than your head size chunks. That's what a lot of people do, at least around here where I fish on the river. I know a lot of guys on the river will like talk to their buddies and their buddies are like, I'm replacing my sidewalk. And they're like, bring that concrete out here. Throw it
No
on my
way,
bank.
dude. Oh my god.
100%. I smashed one of my fingers because me and my dad were out at his buddy's place and I was trying to grab a big piece of concrete and it slipped and smashed my finger in between another one. We were throwing that into the river to make structure along the bank.
I love it.
And they do a lot of that stuff to make even jetties in the river because that stuff's not going to float away. It's going to be there.
That's
a lot of times you're getting hung up on rebar and stuff like that when you're fishing around here. So
best jig tip of the night: make your own riffraff. I love it.
You're right. This is terrible to say. But
he always gets these spots. And he's always like, I bet there'll be a good fish here. Flips it in. He's been secretly putting in structure, I bet, is what he's been doing.
I've known guys that have tried to build individual jetties off of jetties with literal bags of concrete. They're just throwing full bags of concrete into the river. And I'm like, dude, stop doing that. Or I'm tossing you in the river.
It's not going to work.
That's very much littering, but it actually does work. Sadly,
so
it does work.
What's your pick? What's your pick for a jig you would throw bank fishing besides anyone you'd break off?
Oh, good question.
I'm going ball head, like 100%.
War eagle round ball head jig.
How light?
Something along those lines.
How light?
3/8. Traditionally, I'm going to want to go with something that isn't like a war eagle, just because I don't want to break it off, and I know I'm going to break it off sooner or later.
Sure. Would you not step down to a quarter just because you're bringing it uphill? Meaning it's going to take you a little bit longer, but you want that 3/8.
Yeah. But sadly, I'm fishing in a place, usually if I'm fishing, especially like a river, like riverbank fishing.
Okay.
The river is traditionally is current, and you got to get something
I hear
heavier.
You. I feel you, bro. Okay.
The other part
is why I stress as light as you can get away with, because
that makes sense. Yep. Okay. You're 100%. River fishing. I was thinking lake, ahead of my mind lake, but current fishing for sure, man. You gotta get it down.
Debo dislikes the river, but I love fishing on the river.
It's not that I don't I don't dislike the river. The river scares me. Like, I've been on the Mississippi with Dad, and it literally scares me. And the
river bass.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
river bass are some of the meanest bass I've ever come across.
Yeah, they're mean fish.
Dude, there's no question about it, man.
They're river rat all the time. Swimming in current.
Potomac, Upper Bay, Roanoke River with my buddy Scooter Lily. Forget about it, man.
Tattoos and stuff.
Dude, they do, man. They are tatted
They're
up.
mean.
They're mean.
They bite you when you try to let go of them.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
What do you guys got? Eric,
what do we got?
What are your picks?
Oh,
if you're bank fishing.
If I'm not on a river and I'm bank fishing, it's a jig. This is the jig question, right?
Yeah. Debo, what jig would you throw for bank fishing? Yep.
Man, I'd probably step it down to a 5/16 just because I'm bringing the jig uphill versus bringing it downhill, right? I'm 45 in a bank, but even still, I'm bringing it uphill. So I would just do that just because I'm a cheapo when it comes to losing so many things. So if there's no current, I might step it down even lighter. You know what I mean? As light as I can get away with the wind and the conditions, because it's going to take a little bit longer, especially if I'm dragging or shaking, colder weather. If I'm hopping, maybe I'd step it up to the 5/16, and then if it was not a lot of snagginess, I definitely would throw 3/8. I'm right with you there, man.
I'm from shore, a quarter 5/16 if it's a skirted jig. But if I'm throwing plastics, nothing larger than an 1/8.
Oh, wow.
So in other words, if I'm wading the rivers, I will throw ball head jigs, 1/8 ounce or 16th ounce with curly tails on the back end. But here's another thing. Gramps is going to get excited about this. If I'm throwing a stupid tube, even in a pond with weeds and stuff like that, I'll throw an 1/8 ounce on a spinning rod, and I'll work that along weed lines, and I will pop that thing in and out. And I just think that it's condensed. I mean, a tube's really not condensed, but because it's streamlined, the weight, that thing is just going to fall and spiral down. If it's
you can't throw a tube in here. We're talking about jigs, bro.
Dude, I
answer the question, Kuda.
That a jig is a jig. If I put plastic on it, a tube jig.
Party foul. Tube jig. Now you're talking tube jigs. I like it.
That's what the mold says. Tube jig mold.
Dizzle, is a tube or is a tube jig? What is a tube jig versus tube?
Okay, left field. I'm going, if it says jig, a jig is a jig is a jig is a jig. It doesn't matter how you jig your jig. As long as you jig your jig, you can jig it however you want to jig it.
We're getting jiggy with it,
I can jig my jig however I want, Eric.
All right, Dizzle, I got to blow your mind, man, because you're a ball head fiend. I showed this the other night on the stream. I found my favorite, I think.
Devo, go big screen here.
I want to be fair. I want to be fair to people to tell you I have not fished this jig. But I've been searching for a jig because I'm really picky about hook. I'm a Gamakatsu super fan. I love an O'Shaughnessy on a jig. For years, I fished the, oh my gosh, come on, the Jewel finesse jig.
Yeah,
a little bit light. It's a great jig, but a little bit light wire for me on the hook. So this is, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to name this jig. If you do, you are a master. So notice the hook. Let me get the hook. That is a Gamakatsu O'Shaughnessy.
Okay. That's pretty, and I do like the skirt color on that. That's like a
very finesse.
No, I like everything about that.
Very.
It almost looks like a tightrope, Josh Langham, but a little different because it doesn't. The tightropes don't have an O'Shaughnessy on the back end.
O'Shaughnessy. So this was a special run color, double keeper. Double keeper. Does anybody? Oh man, you got some good people on here, man. Look at that, man. Shoot, man.
Who got it? Is that Andy?
Andy Leonard was.
Andy Leonard nailed it.
Now
I knew.
I've only seen him in half. They don't make many 3/8, but I've got some 3/8 coming. The special run color came from Apex Tackle, and what is the Hibden, the son of
Dion Guido.
Did you say Guido?
I think it's Leon. Is it Leon?
I thought it was Dion. D-I-O-N.
No.
Oh,
There's the Dion. That's the other guy. Lawson Hibden.
Never heard of him.
I think it's Dion's son.
Holy
Lawson.
cow.
Yeah. So anyway, Dirk's jigs, man. So I was blown away that I'd never heard of it.
It's a great looking jig.
It's an Ozark jig. This was born in the Ozarks, just FYI. So
really,
maybe that's why I never heard of it. But
so anyway. Eric, Do It Molds has a ball head that does have that type of barbed collar on it, which is actually one of my favorite barbs, as opposed to like the wedge collars that they have on some of the ball heads.
Right.
And it has that spiked collar, but I don't think it has a double.
Right.
But I love that keeper, natural lead keeper. It worked phenomenally well. Even the single, I've never had the double.
Right. Yeah. So
we're answering hook, because there's a number of people that asked that about the hooks too, round bit or O'Shaughnessy.
You want to talk about that, Eric? Should we do it?
I feel like O'Shaughnessy keeps them pinned more, but it's really hard to find a good O'Shaughnessy, right? The right wire gauge. But I mean, there's a lot of different schools of thought, man. But so that's been my experience.
So the philosophical piece between the two. So we were just talking about this the other night. So the saltwater guys use a lot of O'Shaughnessy hooks, like the classic one that's been around for a long time that actually fits in the Sparky jig mold is the 413. It's a tinned hook. Now, Victory also has one that's a tinned hook too. But the deal with the O'Shaughnessy, just imagine if you have a round bend and that's hooked in the corner of a fish's mouth, that fish is going to be able to move and it's going to swing along that circular part. But if it's an O'Shaughnessy, that gap range of movement is limited. It's less. So the theory is that it keeps the fish a little more pinned. Why are you laughing, Debo?
I'm so far behind on comments, and people just freaking crap. I've got some. So Randall Pink Floyd, Randall.
I mean, let's just skip any of his comments.
I love Mr. Pink Floyd. He's a good supporter of the channel. He's actually Eric. You would love him. He's my old school bait blank provider.
Oh, yeah. What have you done with those, Debo?
I painted a few and sent them to him, Randall.
How about that?
Well, that was a call out.
He said Dizzle's hiding in DEBO'S garage repeating, "My precious."
My precious.
I love that movie. I watch it every time it comes on.
Chris Russ says
hilarious.
We'll work for time in the jig lab. So
Let's do a riddle scene.
Other jig lab lovers. Jeff Elliott with the $10 donation. We're all over the place now. We got 330 people in here. How? I don't know.
Wow,
why.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. We've had pretty much 300 people most of the night.
Jeff
Elliott,
that's incredible.
Oh, it's so awesome. We've got a fun group of people to watch.
There are a lot of good people on your stream, Devo.
A lot of good comments, man. A lot of good comments.
You guys, if anyone's into jigs, Eric and I run a stream basically every week, and whether you watch live, I know there's other people that stream as well. Watch them all. If you watch live, if you watch them on replay, whatever, we would appreciate you checking us out. We talk jigs, and that's all we talk. Actually, that's not true. 99% of what we talk about on Jig Squad on YouTube is 99% is jigs, and there's 1% crankbaits. We have to. There's always got to be just a. It's about color though. It always comes up when we talk color.
It does.
Hey, we talked about hunting earlier.
We did. How did that happen? What happened? I'm sorry. I did it again. It's a jig stream, and there I was holding up a crankbait in the first 5 minutes.
You can't help it, dude. You were the Bass Lab.
You're fired, Eric. You're no longer the MOC. You're the MOC Minister of Crankbaits. I'm still the MOC.
You get to dual live. Debo, we have to get Eric to talk a little bit about, because he and I talked about this, and this would be a great forum for him to be able to say some stuff about this, and I want him to have this chance to do this. But Eric,
what are you going to say?
Has a new adventure that he's starting. Eric has a new adventure that he's starting upon, and I think that he should talk about it a little bit, so we don't go through another stream without talking about Legendary Lakes and your new Instagram page. Your new adventure that you're going to be going on.
Okay, hold on 1 second before you go, Eric. Jeff Elliott. Stubbers is my dog, Mr. Stubbs. He's giving me $10 for the chew toy fund. Keep him out of the garbage. He did go through the garbage and hit update on that. He not only hit the kitchen garbage. Later on that night, I found out that he hit both girls' garbages too. He went on like a garbage rampage. But he asked quick, Debo, you guys ever use a black? I think he meant to say black glide bait. That's a good question, because I've thought about that and wondered that if you're fishing a glide bait up toward the surface, almost like a wake glide, but maybe just barely under, it's creating that silhouette. It's going to look like a gill, any sort of dark baby bass, anything like that. Though they're white from the bottom, if they're just seeing that, I don't know. I'm not a glide bait fisher. I finally caught my first 7-inch glide bait fish last year on one that I painted. I'll toot my own horn. But I am not a glide bait guy. Eric, are you, or Cooter, are you?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not.
So black glide baits.
So let's talk black as a color.
Yes.
Just alone
even in
and of
crankbaits.
itself.
Since we have the crankbait nerd on, even in crankbaits, why don't you see it more?
Because I think it's not sexy. When people look at a black trickworm, a black jig, a black chatterbait, a black popper, a black frog. Now, look, I'm sure you throw a black frog, Debo, right? We know you.
95% of the time, I throw an all black frog. I've changed over the years.
There
I
it is.
like an all black frog.
It's the freak.
There it is. But so bass here. I think this is what it amounts to. The strongest contrast in profile and image for a bass whose eyes. This is apparently based on research. Their eyes are tuned to contrast. What is the most contrasting colors? Black and white. There was a pattern in a crankbait that old school crankbait painters knew that you never see anybody throw today, and it's called skunk. It's basically black and white on top. It's a muddy water special. It's called skunk. I've got a couple of I've got a laser lure over there in skunk. I probably have some Bagleys in skunk. I know I've got I've
got an old that's black with like a little bit of white on the top and almost like white ribs on it too.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm going down to the headwaters and I'm throwing big baits like this. This is the Working Class Zero Battle Shad. This is a 9-inch giant shad bait, 12-aught owner beast hook. They also make some Citizens, which are 6 and 7-inch with a beast hook. It depends on which one you're throwing, but they make it in a black. And there are people really scoring heavily on a black. That black bait doesn't look anything like the gizzard shad it's meant to imitate, but because of the strong profile, it gets bit. And so you wonder why people don't throw black spinner baits. I'll tell you some anecdotal stories.
Unless it's at night.
Right. What's that?
I said, unless it's at night. You always hear people talk.
Very true.
At night, but like during the day.
Right. So muddy water in particular, even clear water. The dean, Pete Gluzik, Bass University, don't sleep on black and ultra clear water. You wouldn't think to do it, right?
Black top water and crazy clear water.
Of course you do, right? That's one of my favorite Rio Rico colors. It's right here. It's got a bunch of chew toy marks in it. It's black, right? With a little bit of red feather on the back. Anyway, going on about the black, it's just a great contrasting color and one of the strongest. But I think people, when they look at an all black jig, where's my money? It's like there's nothing else going on. It's just all black. There's no accent color. It can't be good, right? And so it's ignored. Like black crankbaits in particular, or black and blue. Debo, I saw you post a Lucky Craft, right? You had two contrasting colors, black and white, or blue and white, sorry. Mm-hmm. But what if it was black and blue? Black and blue jig probably accounts for more bass than anything. You don't see a lot of black and blue crankbaits. And that's 100%. What I was actually going. This is the first bass I caught in 2022. I took this little timber tiger out. This is all painted with nail polish.
Oh, yeah.
If I get my camera to,
yeah.
So it's basically blue. I threw a little more nail polish on it, but it started out black. And I put a little white dot and it's got the skunk crackle back. So that's all nail polish. And they ate it. I missed 3 because it was a little cold when I was throwing this is a timber tiger. It goes 1 foot. So they really weren't crazy. It warmed up, but it was the last warm weather I had in January before my ponds iced over. And I caught 1 bass. He wasn't big, but it was my first bass of 2022 on a black and blue and white crankbait.
So Debo, the crazy thing is what was the first color crankbait that I asked you to kind of paint for me? I actually sent you a picture of a DT?
Yep, it was the black and blue DT craw that you love to fish.
There it is, man.
And I made him a black and blue. I went more with dark blue, like a really, really dark bluish, almost black.
Isn't that crazy? That's your favorite DT, the bruiser, right? Amazing. Wow. But you're one of the very few people that I've met that's the go-to bait. And it's really cool that you shared it because a lot of people wouldn't talk about that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, especially for us, me and Debo around here, our craws get that really dark, like bluish, purpley, blackish color. Yeah. So it works perfect. I could see if you're out somewhere where your craws are red all year long, where you maybe might not throw it. But I mean, specifically for us, man, I'm usually throwing some sort of Okeechobee, darker black, dark green, dark blues, stuff like that.
Right on, man.
Like, that's my go-to.
Hey,
because
Dizzle.
because it works. I didn't talk about this, Cuda, and I'm sorry, man.
Go ahead.
Like, why the heck didn't I talk about it? You teed me up, and there I was talking about black and blue crankbait. What happened?
Oh, I think I jumped in for the question.
Oh, that's what happened. I wondered what happened. So, all right. So
here he is.
The Legendary Lakes Tour. What is that? It's not just an Instagram profile. It's basically my like YOLO tour for bass fishing. I want to travel across the country and visit all the legendary lakes I've read about since I've been a kid.
Ooh.
I want to meet local legends. I want to meet bait makers and crafters. I want to meet people that I've interacted with on streams like this, and just experience it, man. So we've pitched the concept. I think we're going to be shooting a pilot. Hopefully, me and Travis from Smallmouth Crush. I did like a pre-Legendary Lake scouting tour down. I fished with Ryan Salzman from True Bass at Gunnersville, and I went to Wilson, and I caught my the Grand Slam there, which was a spot, a smallie, and a largie all on the same day. There was nothing monster in the creel, but it was still fun to do that under tough conditions. But headed back to Florida, visiting, doing another pre-scouting trip on the Harris Chain. I'll also be going and fishing the headwaters and maybe the jungle, which is our Jurassic Park Kenansville. So looking forward to it. And I leave next week. So looking forward to that.
And potentially more after that then, Eric, right? Other locations.
Yeah. So there'll be like a southern tour. There'll be a northern tour. They'll be headed out to the middle part of the country, and then ultimately landing in California to fish some of the iconic Southern California and Northern California places. That Clear Lake, obviously, right? You got to go to Texas. You got to fish Fork. You got to fish Rayburn. But in each of those trips, I want to fish an emerging legendary lake, and the headwaters to me would be one of them. So that's why I'm scouting for the ultimate show when we do fish and film the pilot. So hopefully, if we can get off the ground, we're doing it in partnership with a larger brand, and hopefully it comes true, man. If it doesn't, I'm doing it on my own. And no, I don't have a GoPro. I'm not starting a channel. I'm not a YouTuber. Mad respect to the content creators like Debo.
Oh yeah.
It takes so much effort. It's going to be on my phone and little Instagram clips, and that's about it.
Man,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hearing about all of that, I feel like I need to lay down and take a nap or something.
Yeah, all that gives me anxiety. I'm not doing that one. It gives me anxiety.
It sounds amazing, though. Just like
I have to do it.
Okay, so real quick before Debo goes to the next topic.
Let me jump in real quick before you talk. Rob, so Rob, another good supporter. Rob, did you get that tattoo? Is that a fish lady bass? I don't know what that is. Rob, that's sick. He said, no question here tonight. Just loving the live. This is one killer night. Great guests and great conversation. Yeah. Like Kuda said, just some real dudes talking about real stuff. I did laugh because apparently Kyle must know you, because I was thinking the same thing when you were talking about bank fishing, Eric. He said, LOL. He said, Eric ain't doing no bank fishing. LOL.
I love bank fishing. Man.
Saltwater he does.
No, I'm a bridge and pier rat, man.
Bridge and pier rat.
My first fish of the year came from the bank. I'm selling my boat. I'll be boatless here in a minute.
Are you really?
I am. I don't use it. I have a 2016 Skeeter. If anybody's watching, it's at a dealership, and I'm selling it, man. It's got 55 hours on it, 2016. So what does that tell you about how much I'm in my boat? I don't want to fish alone.
Not much.
I'm a team guy. I like team tournament formats. I don't like the individual thing. I'm not the guy that's going to launch my boat on my own and slog out there. It just isn't. I get my energy when I'm talking to people like you, Debo, and Dizzle and Kuda. That's my jam. That's what I want out of my life. I want to travel with people and just enjoy it, the experience with somebody else. Amen, that's what I'm about right now.
Ooh,
so I wanted to.
Okay, go ahead.
Real quick.
Sorry, I forgot about that. My short-term memory is. My wife says
trash. I know. No, yeah. Well, I've said it to you 1,000 times. But so I like on a coast to coast across the U.S. adventure type of fishing excursion, like you're talking about. Is that a case of you're bringing everything in the kitchen sink, Or are you just bringing like 4 rods that you know should work everywhere, and then some select tackle? Maybe I'll buy some more when I get to X, Y, or Z location? Or how does that, like, how are you planning on doing that?
It's a good question.
I just bring a frog rod. That's all you need.
Black frog.
Yeah.
Okay, jig rod, I agree, but still, like realistically, so I don't think you're probably filling up, the vehicle with all of the arsenal and just hitting the road. You're going to be limited, right?
Well, like, what would I do if this was me doing it?
Yeah, just in general, like any one of you, it doesn't matter. It's like personally, I don't want to be overwhelmed with having, because Debo, we've talked about this a million times before. We go out and we're like, oh, we're going bank fishing, and each of us have 17 rods with us. And chances are I'm going to throw 3 of them, and that's going to be it. So why wouldn't I just pack up 3? Don't worry about the rest of the clutter, and just feel free to, hit spot to spot to
If I'm
spot.
going all around, I would take as much as I could comfortably take, just because like you don't know what you're going to fish, what it's going to be like when you get there. And but like even if we're bank fishing, it doesn't mean you have to bring all of it with you like we do. Leave the rest of it, go back and switch stuff out from your bag, switch rods, and I guess that's how I do it.
Yeah, are you loading up, Eric? Are you loading up everything you possibly need, or are you doing pre-planning of what you're likely to use and strategically packing?
No, I mean, think about what I do. I'm not using my boat, although we did use it in the spring last year because Scooter's boat wasn't in. So I have in my vehicle what I need, and I have to be a pretty damn good, like, any situation. So I've gotten my tackle storage systems down pretty good. I like a thin, I can't remember the number. I know you guys are going to ask me, and I've been meaning to do a video on it. So, but it's the Plano makes a thin box, not the thick box. And I use a spider wire, basically backpack, not the big one. I've got it down to the small one. And I'm a freak when it comes to terminal tackle. I take everything out of the packaging and I put it in these, and I have a soft-sided system just about for everything. When I say soft-sided, go on Amazon. You can look at reinforced mesh vinyl bags. They're cheap. Yes. The zippers don't last long, so don't be mad at me, but you get them, a lot of them for cheap. I'll even store swim baits in it, meaning like big glide baits. So I have big bait wraps, like they're called I Surrender because they make the big 8 to 10 inch ones. And then I put the swim bait or the glide bait in that. And then I put it in the reinforced vinyl package. So like I can fit, going on to chatterbaits and spinner baits, I can fit a lot of chatterbaits and spinner baits in these. These are, from clearbags.com or bags.com, I think the name of it is. You want the 4 mil basically. And, then I can write on it with a Sharpie. The jackhammers are labeled, but spinner baits, I might get a little confused, especially if it's like, more of the weight's on the hook shank. So you want to be careful to label your stuff. But I can fit a ton of tackle in a very small space. So that's what I'm doing, man. And I got my 4Runner, and it's working. It's organized for me. I don't want for anything when I'm out there. I honestly have everything I need. I really feel like it. I'm not even though it's ridiculous behind me, I have to be efficient when I'm going out there fishing with Travis or Scooter or whoever I'm fishing with, right? When I'm going down to the headwaters this coming week and I'm fishing with Billy Kramer and Zot, I'm not on my boat. I'm on their boat. So it'll be more than 7 rods with me, but I'll only take like 5 to 6, 7. What are you going to need in Florida pre-spawn, right? I'm surely going to have a big bait rod, right? It's going to have a Citizen on it, right? So that's probably an 8-foot swim bait rod or 7-Eleven. I'm going to have a chatterbait rod, right? I'm going to have a swim jig rod. I'm going to have a punching rod, right? Other than that, maybe a flipping rod, a flipping stick. I'm going to be throwing a speed worm because that's the truth teller down in Florida. It's the lie detector. If you don't get a bite on a June bug speed worm, they ain't there or so locked up you ain't catching them. Yeah, a cutter style worm. Yeah, ultra vibe speed. So that's June bug or June bug red.
Throws those up like it used to be the thing here. I feel like it's another one of those things that's gotten like back in the day, Dad.
They never stop biting it. You can power shot that worm. You can drag that worm. You can do a lot with that worm. Deal. Heck yeah, man! They still bite it in Florida like crazy.
Good old Shaw.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, okay, here we go. So here's a good, let me move this one. Since we're talking about combos, that's one question that I had written down. What are we at? Holy crap, an hour 19. I'm going to post this question and then we'll go for a little bit. If you gentlemen have time, that is.
I'm good, man.
I'm good.
Okay. So
my streams are with Manson are usually like till midnight. I feel like I'm getting off early when I go with Kuda. Kuda's like wrapping it up, and I'm like just getting started. I'm so jammed up. I got to go watch Lord of the Rings, and then fall asleep on the couch after I order some shit from Taco Warehouse I don't need, and then walk in circles and eat some freaking ice cream that I don't need. I'm losing it, everybody. I'm hanging on by a very thin thread right now.
You know how many times I do that? I load up my Taco Warehouse cart and I'm like, I don't know, and I like let it expire, then I go back.
No,
and I'm like,
I push the button. Shit shows up. I'm like, did I order that? What's in this box? This one's from Japan. This is awesome.
You don't get those emails that's like, oh, it looks like you walked away.
Oh,
You didn't finish your cart.
I'm losing it, man.
In your cart.
Oh my god, I'm losing it. Oh, I got to show you the shirt too. I got to show you one thing else.
Oh, yeah, we forgot the shirt.
I got you. I'm gonna go do a wardrobe change. Excuse me for a moment while I do this wardrobe change.
A wardrobe change.
Yeah, this is.
I just gotta
Are
take
you
the
coming back with a
sweatshirt
bow
off.
on?
You think I'm gonna take the shirt? I'm gonna
Eric
take my
started his
sweatshirt off.
OnlyFans.
You probably see my belly. I'm not doing that.
All right, hashtag jigs. Like I said, it's going to be some Debo jigs. Jig Squad's throwing in some stuff. We got Kuda throwing in some stuff. Eric's throwing in some stuff. So very, very appreciative of these guys hopping on. Kuda, Eric, of course, Randall with on location. Randall, I appreciate it. So hashtag jigs for the giveaway. But what the question I wanted to ask was, if you could only pick. Okay, well, here it is. What is it?
Yeah, let's.
He looks like a biker.
Single.
It's like Hell's Anglers coming up.
Can you guys see it? I can't see it. Can you see it?
Rather be dead. Oh, does it say rather be dead than throwing Ned?
Do you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Rather be dead than Ned.
That's like a burly fishing type of thing.
That is.
But Burley, it's from Tacklecraft. And
TK did that. Okay.
TK Stanley did it, but he did another version, and it says rather Ned than be dead. So anyway, right, he printed that special for Travis because it was a mortal wound to Manson because he loves the Ned so much.
Actually, that would be the opposite for Burley because Burley they love the Ned.
I know. Yeah. So Dizzle, this is your shirt, right? This is your shirt, right? Sure. Yeah. I'm figuring that's why I had to do the wardrobe change. So don't, there you go.
There's been so many occasions that Debo's just slamming them on a Ned, and I'm like, I just gotta fish better with this jig, and I'll start catching.
He's got that round ball head jig out.
It's been opposite too. There's been days where I've thrown the Ned, and that dude's over there catching fish on a finesse jig, and I literally just want to Spartan 300 kick him in the water. And he's like, "Oh, why don't you tie a jig on? I told you the jig was going to be the deal."
So great.
Like the best experience ever. The best experiences is when I threw that pitched that one jig out there and got the biggest bird's nest ever. And I'm picking it out. And I'm like, well, forget this. I got to cut it out. And then I start pulling the line in. And I'm like, I got a fish on here.
Kicking my teeth in.
Oh,
he's kicking my teeth in. I can't catch a fish to save my life. He's already caught like 10 fish on a jig. And he's like, why don't you switch to a jig, Debo? I'm like, shut up, Randy. He throws a cast out, backlashes, breaks his line off. He's hand lining it in and catches a fish on this jig.
So crazy.
Like, I'm so bad at fishing a jig. I can even hand line him.
I even made the joke of how funny would it be when I start pulling this in if there's a fish on here.
There it is.
And sure enough, 2 seconds later, I'm pulling it in. And it's still through the eyes because I cut it off near, the reel. And I'm pulling it in just to make sure I get it all in. And sure enough, there's a fish on there. And I'm like, I feel bad, but I'm going to keep saying this stuff to him.
Okay, we're going to come back to the giveaway. Keep doing the hashtag jigs.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, we need to try to get over 200 people in. Let me check. We're at 193. So we need 7 more people to enter.
Oh, we're close.
Okay, so Glenn actually nailed the question. This was one of the questions I had written down. I thought we were going to get a little bit more granular into some of this stuff. I didn't know we were going to go off on so many side quests.
Sorry.
Crazy. No,
we have attentional concerns.
Totally my fault, man. It's me.
Zero reason for apology. However, I thought this was going to be one of the first 3 questions I asked. Not one of the last ones of the night. So one of the questions I wanted to ask, since we have different anglers, fishing different ways, different waters. What is your jig setup? So we're talking like a jig, like this, a finesse jig, your flipping jig. If you only had one for your jigs, a skirted jig, what would you pick? Randall already knows his. Randall, what would yours be?
And are we talking just the jig or the entire setup, the rod, reel, line? Everything?
Rod, reel, line.
So, okay, so this, I'm still going to go back to this. I have for you two guys, I have a Revo winch. Like it's a 6-4-1. I'm fairly certain 6-4-1 Revo winch. They don't make it, and they haven't made it for probably 15 years. I have 2 of them, and it is my go. I think it was initially made to be like a deep cranking reel. It's my jig reel. It's my jig reel. 100%. It's my jig reel. I'm going to use that 100% of the time. For my rod length, I'm 7.2, somewhere around in there. And I'm not like okay, so traditionally medium heavy is where I'm running on the weight, but the tip, I'm more of a feel of the rod in my hand with the lure and the reel that I'm using with the line versus what the actual speed kind of the rod is. So I could have a fast, a moderate, things like that, and they're just not going to feel right until I get the right feel of it is really where I'm going to go at. I can't remember what my most recent jig rod is. I think it's a fast tip on it, isn't it, Debo? The 13 fishing. Yep. There's something about it that's just a little too spongy for me, even though it's a medium heavy, and it's like just like any of the other jig rods I've thrown, it just doesn't have the right feel. I'm a really big feel guy. Every different rod is going to feel different from the next, but so it's the Revo winch, a rod that feels right, and 20-pound fluoro, probably the red label.
I like it.
Wow.
Okay, let's pick a winner real quick, then we'll go through the rest of ours here in case anybody's hanging out.
Needs to go. Look, it's me. I won. You already ran it. Don't worry about showing it.
We had 205. I like it. We just got a 205. I am sharing, right? Okay, here we go. The rando winner is for some DEBO jigs. We got some Bass Lab stuff. Oh. Fishing Fix.
Fishing Fix.
The only thing I really say is you got to be in here. If you're not in here, you can't win.
It really
got to be present.
Pink Floyd for a second, and I was like,
must be present to win. But what is it? Boy something not included. Boy actor something whatever not included. How do they say those commercials?
Something like that.
So Randall's not included in this. He will cut some of his beard hair off and put it in a bag and send it to you. Though.
Fishing Fix is here. I see him.
Yeah, am I behind?
I think I saw him. Oh yeah, I see him. Yep, he's here.
Okay, I can't see it. Fishing Fix, hit me up on an email, please, with Glenn. We already know the question. DEBO'sfishing@gmail.com. Please send me an email. Include your YouTube screen so I know it's actually you. Yes, I did have some people trying to scam me out of DEBO'S winnings, saying,
"Oh my god,
hey, I won." Hey, sending me stuff. I'm like, wait a minute,
it wasn't me.
Send me a screenshot of your thing. Like, oh, maybe it wasn't me. I forgot. So yeah, just send me a YouTube deal of you showing that it's actually you. Fishing Fix on YouTube. So congratulations, brother. All right, so let's get into combos. Kuda, what's yours?
All right, so listen, you guys, this is going to be interesting. You're going to hear more about this when Jig Squat, as we have more conversations. I do not fish high-end reels or rods. My highest end rods that I use are the Mojo Bass. I still use. I'm
sorry, I'm not hanging out with you anymore.
Well, hey, I got to tell you, I'm not in the cool kids club, but I will tell you, I'm still using. That's the cool part about fishing. I want people to know, yes, I am still using some of my Bass Pro Shops old school extreme rods. I love the old green Corrados for bait casters. I'm still using them. Spinning reels, I still have some of the old Stratics. Those are predominantly the ones I take care of my stuff. I don't buy a lot of new stuff. This coming year, I think I might up on a few new spinning reels, but I'm good on bait casters. I don't buy new ones. I fix them. I don't have to fix much anything with the old Corrado greens, right?
Are those the E-series?
Yeah, rods.
You're talking about the old Corrado greens?
Like
the old Corrado greens, brother.
Oh man, they're tanks, brother.
They're tanks, and I'll tell you what. I keep telling myself I'm going to pull out the old Calcutta one of these days.
What?
And fish them. That was my first bait casting reel was a Calcutta. Crazy enough.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about.
And so, but everything's 7, anything around 7, 6'10", 7 foot, because you got Mojo bass. Some of the sizes are a little bit different, but I will tell you this: if I'm throwing a skirted jig, and I'm going anything 5/16 to 3/8 or above, I want a medium heavy. And actually, I should say in most skirted jigs, I want a medium heavy rod. But if I am fishing the Great Lakes and rock in open water, I do not want a medium heavy rod. I will fish up to 3/8 ounce jigs on a medium action rod, and I go down in size of line. Well, fair play. I'm going to tell you what I throw for line. I cut my teeth learning how to fish big game. That's what I fished. 10 and 12 pound big game, open water, smallmouth. That's for bait casters. But since then, I've kind of moved on, and I'm using InvisX. I do like InvisX, and that's predominantly straight fluorocarbon. I do not throw a lot of braid, just because I don't have a chance to fish where I would need braid as much anymore. I will run braid on my spinning rods and hair jig rods with a fluoro leader. And I kind of started to switch to throwing more of a top shot rather than just a short leader. So sometimes if I'm fishing smallmouth on the Great Lakes, I want like a 20 yard, maybe not a 20 yard, I'd say 20 to 30 foot top shot of fluoro on top.
Right on,
I never
man.
go below 8 on my braid. That's just me.
Right on.
And I'll go down to 6 sometimes as a leader, but typically I'm going 8 braid, 8 fluoro.
That's a man who knows what he likes. That's what I'm talking about.
My first jig rod was a 6.6 Mojo Bass. I think it was the worm specified.
Yeah.
Yep, that was my first. I don't know how many 5+ I caught on that thing throwing a jig.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
I'll be honest with you, Dizzle, I find myself throwing my old extreme rods more than I even do any of the St. Croix Mojo rods.
What?
I've been trying to chase down. Yeah, look at that hat from Retro. And guys, listen, I'll tell you something. I think it's good for people to hear me say this. And there's some people out there that I know are crazy about rods and reels. It's not that I'm not. It's that over the years, I had to find ways to be economical about things, and I put my money into baits. I have so much tackle. I have so much tackle that I'll never use. But the thing is, in plastics, I've worked at bait shops. I've been around the scene. It's just I always had things that worked. I was the guy that kept my 77 Caprice Classic that I had when I was a teenager and kept it for a long time. Right? That's just kind of how I am. And if they work for me, I will say this though, I do know that the day I put a high end rod in my hands, everyone says my world is going to change. But listen, if I learned how to pull out of 20 feet of water, 25, 28 feet of water, smallmouth on the Great Lakes with 10-pound Berkeley big game, and learn how to feel bites in 20-mile-an-hour winds and 4 to 5 footers. Yeah. Let me tell you something. I cut my teeth the old school way. I'd
be on the bank in 20-mile-an-hour winds with Dizzle in the marina flipping pilings, man.
Well, when the money's out there, when you're in a tournament, you don't want to go in, right? So
you're a hardy boy, man. I can't do it, man.
That's just me.
I'm soft, man.
And I'm not a tournament guy anymore. Maybe if I was, I would have expanded and moved on to all these higher end rods, but those days are long past, I spend more time wading the rivers than I do, fishing the Great Lakes, to be honest with you.
Getting back to nature, bro. I hear you.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, what do you guys?
Eric, what about you?
What's yours?
Oh well, I'm that high end guy.
He's the G Loomis guy.
This is what I love, because we're gonna hit every single square with different things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. There's not a right way to do it. All four of us could go to a lake, fish 4 completely separate different ways.
True.
Either be completely on fire or completely miss.
Or
we can all 4 be catching fish.
And it doesn't matter what rod I'm using. That's right. Low end, high end. I could be sucking. So my buddy Alan Handler was one of my first tournament partners, and he got sponsored by G Loomis. So he got amazing discounts on G Loomis, and I got the benefit of early G Loomis. And it kind of got me into the high end brand through getting a discount, because I love a discount. And I was a green Curado man way from the start. So the E7, I still have all my lefty. I'm a lefty, by the way, reeling lefty.
201 E7. Then.
There it was, 201. You got it, man. 201 E7. I do like that speed. I think the 7's right for jig fish, because you need to catch up with fish, right? 16-pound Gamma, which is like 20-pound anything else. Again, a buddy that's, sponsored by Gamma, and, he flips me a spool here and there. I don't fish enough to have to change it out. And Gamma, literally, I know it sounds crazy to say, if you're stripping off the first 6 feet, it can last you a while. And then for me, it's a JWRG Loomis 7.1 to 7.3, extra fast tip, medium heavy for sure. The NRX Plus, I just broke like last year, one of my favorite Loomis jig rods, and for $100. So I waited because they were sending them all to the retailers. And finally, I'm like, man, I went my whole tournament season without my favorite jig rod. I'm like, are you ever going to send me my replacement? I said, it's nice that you're sending to all these new people to buy, but I'm a current customer. And finally, like they sent me one. So I do love it. And there you go, man. So I've got the old G Loomis cranking sticks too. I love them, but that 7.1 to 7.3, medium heavy, extra fast. So
nice.
I love it. We're hitting everywhere. So yeah, retro 5.6. That's another thing too, is, a lot of people, when you started out back when, I started fishing 30 years ago, like retro saying, short rods is all you could find. You to find a rod over 6 foot was long. To find reels that weren't right-handed was hard.
The old pistol grips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to ask if that 5.6 was a pistol grip or not.
You know it, man. Yep. I had some pistol grips. The Shimano Scorpion.
Oh yeah.
No, the bullwhip. The bullwhip was my favorite because it had the big, like how a blank will come down and then it'll get skinny and go into the cork. This thing was a continuation of the graphite through the handle.
Wow.
I loved it. So I had my finger on the blank of the rod the whole time. I wasn't touching. There was no cork. Yeah.
See, that's another thing too about Cuda, when you were talking about how sensitive is a rod. I get away with less sensitive rods because I finger the line. So like when I hold, I don't.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Like when you touch the line, like you can get away with less sense. I'm not going to say. I don't know, because sensitivity is relative to the person, right?
Sure.
I've got a rod that I'll be like, dude, it's a great rod. It's sensitive. And I give it to somebody else. They're like, I couldn't feel crap. I didn't like it, how it felt in my hand. Like Randy says, it might be a super high priced rod, but if it doesn't fit in your hand right, you don't want to hold it, or you might hold it wrong.
But, no, and I'm particular about where the butt of the rod hits me here.
So is my dad.
A lot of rods are very short.
Dad.
I hate it because that's where I get my leverage. When I'm sweep setting, I want that thing to go almost to my elbow, right above it. And if it's too short, the rod's no good. I don't care if it was the best rod on the planet. I wouldn't fish it.
When I'm setting my hook on a jig, I want that right in that spot when I'm setting a jig, because I'm gonna set the hook on a jig fish like it could be a 38-pounder.
Right, you're driving it home.
I'm going for the home run each and every single time I set it.
Right on, man. Okay. Right on. I will tell you, no matter what rod brand you use, this is really interesting. If you have the guts to go into a retail store, I don't know if you all know, if you're a rod builder out there, you do know this. There is a spline to a rod. And if it's wrapped in a factory quickly and it's not splined right, the rod, when you go to set the hook, will twist. The blank will actually torque. If you've ever have felt it, because I fish cheap rods or less expensive, even like high-end ones that were maybe like in that $200 range that weren't splined right. So you grab the tip of the rod. I swear to God, you do this. And then you like, if you gently pull up with the butt on the floor, and if the rod starts to twist, it's not splined correctly. It should be straight. And you got to look at the guides too. Sometimes,
Eric, that's a great comment. We used to go into Bass Pro years ago, no joke, with the extreme rods. That's how we would pick them out. We would go through every single rod, and we would sit there and test them. And if they weren't right, we wouldn't buy them. And sometimes we'd go and when they had their spring sale, and that's when we most usually try and pick them up. And if they were shit, that was it. We didn't get them that year.
That's right. Did I say spline? Is it spine or spline? I've been saying spline.
I thought it's spline.
I think
said
you're right.
Spline.
I
think it's both.
With an L.
Yeah, it's both.
My buddy who made me the rods, Mason Fishing Rods, goes, there's a spline to the blank. And I'm like, oh, tell me more about the spline, dude. It's Stevie Tolliver. He goes, watch this. And we went into Bass Pro and we picked up a bunch of them.
Because people always ask me that. And I'm like, I always just thought you to take it out and fish it and see, is it setting right? Is it, because like you were saying, that's the biggest thing is you'll go to set the hook and it'll feel like it's like fighting you, like
right. It wants to move left
side.
or right. Right. Exactly. If
So
the guides are not put, so you pull it up by the guide, right? The guides, the butts on the, I think I'm doing this right. The butts on the floor, you pull it up. And if it wants to twist on you and torque, it's not spined right.
Huh. Yeah. I thought it was spline too. Like the spline.
I thought it was. Well, it makes sense. Spline, spline. It's all the same thing. It's like this thing going down. It's supposed to be splined properly anyway with the guides. Right. Okay. Because that's where all your power comes from, right?
Right.
I'm going to get kicked out of so many bait and tackle shops here coming up.
Can you imagine
if in there doing stuff?
Can you imagine if you broke one? If you broke one, you picked it up and you're like,
don't spline my rod. Out of here real quick if you break it.
You break my spline, you're buying it. I spline you,
my
man.
name's DEBO Fishing. I'm out of here.
Will somebody spline this to me, please?
Oh, that's hilarious.
All over. So Sean becoming a member. Thank you, Sean. I think somebody else was a member too. Adam Colley, a longtime supporter of my channel.
He's awesome. I love that guy. He repairs reels too. He's very good at it.
He has a reel cleaning service. Super nice cat.
He really is.
The man, the myth, the Hella in here. He was making
Hella
fun
Bass
of us earlier.
Was he really?
Yeah,
he's a troll. We know Hella's a troll secretly. Go troll back in Mexico, Hella.
He said, didn't I watch this exact same live Thursday night?
Well, then why are you back for more? No, dude, it's very
Hella,
different.
you love us, brother. HB loves us.
I did see Jim in here, Tackle Junkie, another good buddy of mine. Of course, Fishing with Gramps. Man, we've got all kinds of people. So mine real quick, and then I think we're going to get out of here. I want to be mindful of everybody's time, even though Eric he's used to hitting the raves and staying up till 1 in the morning.
Man, but I know. Bass raves, lure raves.
Bass lure raves. So it's funny because this was one of the questions I was most excited to ask because I thought from this group we would get some pretty different answers. And I'm kind of middle of the road. So Randy's all about fit, which I completely agree. The price doesn't matter if you don't have something that's not comfortable. You're not going to want to fish it. I don't care if it's a $5,000 combo. If it's not comfortable in your hand, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got that one combo that just feels good, and you want to try to get away with fishing everything on it because it just fits, right? So kind of all over, different price points, different reasons. But I'm kind of a middle of the road guy. Like I feel like once you kind of hit that $100 mark, you get the most bang for your buck. So for rods and reels, we were talking about Fishing with Gramps brought it up last live. What are the diminishing returns? Where do you notice more of a jump from a $100 rod to a $200 rod or a $200 rod to a $300 rod? All these kind of different levels. But I would say I would tend to spend a little bit more on the rods, like $150-ish rod. With a $99 bait caster, an aluminum frame bait caster, like Kuda was saying, those old ones that were built aluminum, they're built to last. I mean, the green Corrado is the E series. I know people will kind of give them crap because they're graphite, they're plastic, quote unquote, side plates, right? But they're still an aluminum frame. And if you take care of them, it's just like I have my Luz LFS that's now probably 6-7 years old. It wasn't the first gen LFS. It was kind of I think that was the second or third, whatever one that is, with kind of the purplish spool. They last. That was like one of my first expensive ones, and I cleaned it every 6 months, and took care of it. Now I'm horrible at doing that, stand on top of it.
Terrible.
Yes. So that's kind of with me. As far as line, my go-to lately has been 17-pound P-line tactical, but I mean, a 15-pound, if you're bank fishing, you can a lot of times get away with just a 15-pound if you're not around a bunch of stuff. But 17
is the P-line a copolymer?
The tactical is not.
The tactical is not.
Yeah, they have like the P-line. What is it? Fluoroclear is a copolymer.
Right.
Yeah, that's more like a cranking line, kind of stretchy, like a mono. But yeah, like Randy was saying, I fished 15 and 17-pound red label forever. You know, you can get it for $10 at Walmart. There's so many good ones out there. You know, find what's comfortable to you, find what you like. But and like a 7.2 or 7.3 is my favorite length rod. So what else do you guys have? Have you seen any fun questions? We're gonna end. I like to end my streams with like either some rapid fire questions where somebody will ask like a this or that. If you gentlemen saw any good fun questions, I'm gonna ask chat before we get out of here. We still have 313 people watching. Y'all are freaking crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
nice.
If you've got some fun this or that questions, drop them in. We'll all answer quick, and it's not going to be long-winded stuff. You have to answer it quick. It's just it depends on the situation. Randy always tells me that game. Well, it depends on the
devil's advocate, man.
And
Come
what
on
my
now.
shadow looks like.
The philosopher.
Hey, Debo, how do I send the stuff to the winner? You're going to send me the address, right, or something like that?
You can just send it to me, and I'll save it all and send it to the winner. Unless Kuda, if you want to send separately.
Yeah. I could send it to you as well if the guy wants them painted. Just ask him if he wants them painted. Then he should connect with me and figure it out. But otherwise,
I'll get you my address and get it sent over, and I'll make sure it gets to whoever wants.
There's a good question. Owner hooks, cutting edge or ultra point? Ultra point.
Ultra point. Never cutting edge. Never.
Cutting edge ones that are like flat on the one side. They're in like the orangish red package. I think they're kind of flat on one side, right?
They kind of look like
not
a
trocars, not like the V-shaped trocar. I believe the cutting edge are kind of bent and flat, right?
It's called cutting. It's called cutting point. Yep. And so you can see the picture of the cutting point. They're flat. Correct. Yeah. Yep. So Kuda, why did you say that?
So the cutting point, in theory, can create a larger gap in the fish's mouth. And in theory, people think that potentially you could more likely lose that fish.
See?
It's the same thing with trocars. I've heard the same argument with trocars, but I would say it's more about the rod that you're fishing with the size wire of the hook.
That's exactly right. I agree with you.
True.
Good point.
That's right. Yep.
What do we have?
Did you like how fast I got those hooks out?
That was almost Debo fast.
No, this was Tackle Junkie Jim fast. I mean, he's got the whole everything at his fingertips here. I don't know.
A lot of terminal right there. A lot of terminal.
Dude, if I had you and Jim on a live together, I literally could talk about anything, and both of you would say, "Oh, hold on, I got one right here."
Who's Jim?
Tackle Junkie.
Tackle Junkie 81. TJ.
Yep.
Oh, Jim. I have to check him out. Okay,
yes,
TJ 81.
He's on a tackle.
He's on the Insta.
Okay. He's on the Insta and the
he does tons of high end gear giveaways.
YouTube shows. He's a good dude, Eric. He's got cool YouTube vids, a lot of tackle reviews, cool stuff.
Nice.
Bass Pro Shop calls him when they get low on rods and reels.
Yeah, you wonder why you can't get stuff at Tackle Warehouse. It's actually because he's the wholesaler that has everything.
TJ, I can't find him. Anyway, somebody sent me his thingy.
Yeah, Tackle Junkie. I'll send it to you.
I swear I tried to find
him.
Tackle Junkie.
So Randall Pink Floyd, buy a puppy or Dizzle. The puppy, when you get sick of it, at least you can put it in the kennel and walk away and leave. Randy, once he's glommed onto you, you can't get rid of him. Bro.
Yeah,
I try going to the bathroom. He follows me into the bathroom. I go into the grocery store to get stuff. Randall's following me around. Like Randy.
Like his fishing spots, I'm always there.
Ooh, here's a good one. Okay, Mr. Gambit. Crankbait or jig in March? Now this is relative to area too, because Texas March is going to be different than Minnesota March, right? So
I have an answer.
Okay, what is it?
Crankbait. I'm throwing an old school red.
And you said crankbait.
Half ounce or 3/4 ounce old school red Rapala rattling trap.
So lipless crankbait.
Lipless crank.
I like it.
Does that count?
I would probably.
That counts.
I would probably go lipless.
It's a lipless. It's a lipless vibration bait. So no, you can't.
Oh,
sorry.
Eric's
it's not a crankbait. It's a lipless vibration bait. Stop it.
We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk, Eric.
Kuda, you're out of order. No, because this doesn't have a lip.
Strike two.
You tried to weasel it on it. Now answer the question.
So is the wiggle wart a crankbait?
Hell yeah.
But it's an integrated lip. It's not a separate lip, right? It's built.
Oh yeah. I thought we're not supposed to talk about these things that much.
So,
listen, man, you're answering the question.
Yeah, what happened to quick rapid fire?
Yeah, Dizzle, tell him.
We're getting all philosophical.
You guys getting all slappy late in the evening
here. I mean, it is a lipless crankbait.
What do you got, Randall? What's yours? Do I have to ask?
I'm honestly gonna go lipless. I'm
Here,
breaking the mold. I'm going lipless.
I'll just put this
No.
over your picture.
That's my new picture. That's just
That's Randy's
put
picture.
that over my picture. Yeah. No, that one year we went out and we threw those lipless and it was just dynamite. It just opened up a whole new world. Like a jig early March, any type of March, you're gonna go slow.
Late March for us. Late March.
Yeah.
March into early
April.
I'm glad you brought that up because there was literally a time where Randy and I were out, and I loved throwing lipless crankbait, right? I used to throw silver and white. That was all I ever used to throw. And there was one time, probably 7 or 8 years ago when we started fishing together. Randy and I were driving to the spot, and I was joking about it. I'm like, "Oh, everybody throws red lipless like it's supposed to be the deal." And I happened to have one in my tackle box, and I tied it on. I'm like, "I'm gonna see if I can catch one," like joking around. And literally, we crushed on that day on red. And
there you go.
We were at the truck.
Yep.
He was tying his on, and I'm like, I'm not taking one, but I'm gonna hate myself because I'm not taking the crankbait rod with me.
You literally said that.
Yeah, literally said that. And then we get down there, and I'm like trying to throw this lipless crankbait on like a super stout, heavy jig rod and stuff like that. I'm just hating myself.
Hard.
Yeah, that red and spring, man, it's no joke. We could go into a whole different talk about that, but I would say lipless too. Yeah, we get on a really fun lipless bite here in the Midwest, usually in like April, where there's a few good weeks where it's just crazy. We'll yo-yo them like when we get those spots where the grass is just starting to come up.
The same for me, Debo. Almost the same temp for me and you.
Yep. Oh, it's so much fun.
That big hard pop on the yo-yo, that's so much fun.
It's the dead when you pop. It's like a jerk bait.
Yeah.
Like that cadence of, and it's when you're not doing anything with it, just.
And you go to get your next pop, and you're like, whoa, what's that? What's going on here?
Okay, what else do we have? Let's each have one more question. So Eric, you got to pick one. Cootie, you got to pick one. Dizzle, you got to pick one. This or that, or any question, we each answer it. And then
so this isn't one that's come up so far, but Eric, I think you talked about going very pack your own stuff up, your terminal tackle, your everything like that. Right. I have a certain opinion. Clamshells on your soft plastics or no clamshells?
Man, clamshell. If they make it in a clamshell, I like a clamshell. Keep it straight.
So the clam is okay. So we're on the same page. I hate clamshells. It doesn't matter what it comes in. I'm yanking those clamshells out and I'm throwing them away. I will spit on them and kick them into the ground. I hate clamshells.
Dreams.
But believe me, here's what I do. Actually, to be truthful, I fish a lot of things that don't have clamshells. I'm a Zoom fan, and they don't really have a lot of clamshells unless you talk about the swim bait. So on my little backpack, which is the spider wire backpack, small size, it has these little green loops that fit a kind of like a golf towel ring.
Okay, yeah.
And then I'll hang my plastics on the outside of my bag.
Interesting.
It's pretty freaking cool.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
they don't get smashed in my bag, if that makes any sense.
No clamshells. I take them out whenever I can.
I've never noticed a difference. I've never noticed a difference with any type of
take
lures.
them out.
People say they get smashed, and I've never noticed it. I've never noticed it.
So Eric, being a Zoom fan, tell Zoom to make clamshells for the flukes.
Sure.
That I would back that one.
You go clamshell? Oh, it sucks.
Yeah, but cockeyed looking.
But you can boil them to straighten them. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I am not gonna ever boil a soft plastic or a frog.
But wait.
Say, I know it sucks out of the bag, but if you boil it and if you put throw some spider dust on it, or
you just gotta take your portable
Hey, but listen. You know how hand pour has no, look, for tournament fishing. When money's on the line, okay. If you were fishing a $10,000 tournament. And the difference between getting a bite
on the boat, if this was the case,
okay, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I would go Debo. You're going to take 30 minutes and you're going to boil just a couple bags of the worm that were on it. We did it in practice. We didn't boil these practice baits, but we know they're biting. And I want a little extra softness out of the bait. If you boil a bait,
buy 17 more bags of them before I go instead of boil it.
Yeah, I just buy everything.
No.
And be like, here.
But no, you can't. You can't get the same action. You can't get the same action out of it. I'm saying if you boil a regular injection bait, it makes it a hand pour consistency.
Okay.
Well, so that's interesting. They have different consistency plastics too. When you buy the plastics,
Sure.
they have different.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a straight zoom, not if you're making your own.
Gotcha.
I'm saying if you've got this zoom bait that you absolutely love and you want a little more action out of your trick worm, boil it.
Okay, now that I can get with. If you can take a production worm and change how it acts, or the properties of it, okay, I can kind of get on board with that. However, when somebody tells me, oh yeah, out of the package this X, Y, or Z sucks, but if you put it on the direct light of Anubis's son in Egypt, no, not that. What else do we
That's
got?
funny, man.
So far off topic. Each of you got to pick one. Who else do we have? So we got Randy, me, Kuda, you and Eric got to pick one.
All right, I'll take this one. Bananas in the boat or never. Adam, it's a never, brother. You have to believe in ghosts, and bananas are ghosts. You can't have them in the boat.
I'm allergic to bananas, so that's why they would never be in my boat.
Well,
however,
that's a reasonable answer.
About any of that stuff.
So. I'm just grabbing a bag of beef jerky and calling it good. No bananas for me either.
So overrated. Beef jerky so overrated.
Come on now, really? Beef log, beef jerky.
I'll stand on that hill.
Okay.
When I have to chew something for 30 minutes like a cow chewing cud, I don't.
Frog fishing so overrated.
Way to end it. There's a lot of classic note there, brother.
Yeah, so on that note, I will be hiring for another co-host. If you're interested, please send your applications to DEBO'S.
Just be prepared for constant bullying and ridicule. And
Randy does that to me all the time, so I'm hoping the next person doesn't do that to me. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
But he will take your pike off the hook for you.
I do that. I do enjoy.
That's a friend.
Tangling with the
pike friend.
I love pike.
God, I hate pike.
Eric, what do you got? Do you have a this or that? Or you can make up something too if you don't. Nothing's tickling your fancy that chat's putting out there.
Oh no, man! The what have y'all's biggest fish come on? A jig. A hair jig. And pork. 43-degree water. Potomac River. Wouldn't fit in the live well straight.
Damn.
I will say my first.
Everything.
What's that?
Did you get a weight on it and everything?
Nope.
I will say my first.
Then my biggest would have on a swim 8.6. Go ahead.
My first 5+ pound came off a super tiny, like a 1/8 micro spinner bait.
That's
that
so
I
crazy.
Just must have just thrown it just perfectly to hit him right in the face, and he took off after it.
Wow.
But jig outside of that, yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
Largemouth
micro spinnerbait.
Yeah,
that's
largemouth.
Nuts.
Largemouth, black chug bug.
Ooh.
7.5 pounds.
The big or little? Big or smaller?
Little.
Junior.
Pond.
Okay.
Yep. Pond, Northern Illinois, at night.
Man,
in the dark.
Nice.
At night, man.
At night in the dark. Like everything you would hope for. Largemouth or smallmouth on a jig. Ironically enough, Eric, it was a ball head. It wasn't a tube jig. And it had a green pumpkin Zoom Fat Albert grub.
Nice. Wow. That's crazy.
Mine was on the Beast Coast.
Ooh, great jigs.
The swim bait. The Miyagi's the swim bait. However, when we were talking about
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, I do like the Beast Coast, the G-Spo battle flip. That head design with like a little bit of recess. Nice. It's a pretty sweet jig.
God, that one video you had with the Beast Coast, that thing was destroyed.
Oh yeah, I don't remember how many fish on that Miyagi. That Miyagi had definitely seen better years. All right, well, listen, everyone. So, in closing, y'all know where to find Dizzle. We love the Dizzle. He still has. Dizzle is the guy that has more followers without making a single YouTube video than anybody on YouTube.
I have more unseen footage saved on a hard drive in my house than probably anybody else. I could put together a 14-day compilation video just straight, like no talking, just me fishing, and I'm getting there, guys.
Dizzle, what's your Instagram, Dizzle?
What is it? Is it?
He doesn't even know, is it? Come on, Dizzle.
Randizzle.
Randizzle. Yeah, it's _Randizzle_, I believe. I think that's what it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, underscore.
It is.
Randizzles underscore.
With an S.
Yes.
Yeah. S
Yep,
plural.
I got
like
you.
the underscores too.
There you go. I'll
Kuda
follow you
Jig
back
Squad,
here in just a second.
give us a quick Jig Squad pump before everybody goes.
Absolutely, guys. Listen, we run live shows. That's all we do. We don't put out videos. We run live shows on Thursday nights. We talk jigs. We interview jig makers from around North America. It's a blast. Chat is hopping. If you watch on the replay, we love you as well. We are new. We've only been going for literally just shy of a month right now. So we are rocking, and check us out on Instagram. We post jigs that people post on the internet and give them credit for those posts and try and promote jig makers. You'll find us at Jig Squad on Instagram. And then, of course, check out our YouTube page. We'd love to have you.
Right on, man.
Oh, Mr. Stubbers.
Is that the stealer of the trash?
There he is.
Yes, it is.
And Eric, where can we find the Epic Eric? What are you doing? What are you about?
Okay.
For anybody that might not know you.
Sure, man. So my main page is at Epic Eric Official on Instagram. No YouTube channel. Actually, I do. I did one video. It was just a silly video on crankbaits. Crunkbaits, as I like to call them. Crunkbait. And then I also have at Epic Eric's Bass Lab and then Legendary Lakes Tour. So, but at Epic Eric Official is the one I pay attention to most. So, and post most often. So, what am I up to, man? I'm doing some bait collabs with Marty Burns. He's a custom balsa flat side maker. I've got the next round of Epic Shads coming in. TK Stanley from Tacklecraft. He's my painter. Marty's my designer. It's the newest one that I sold the first round, sold out really quick. It's a very large balsa crankbait called the Epic Shad. I think I've got one here somewhere, but I don't want to waste any more time.
Yeah, check out Tacklecraft. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Here they are.
Live, so
here they go. Can I show one real quick?
Absolutely, you can. Hell yes, you can.
Because I'm proud of it, man. So this is a big balsa flat side bed.
Ooh.
And it's got a tick. It's got an old school ticker in it. Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
It sounds like the one clackers.
It's the one clacker, but high pitch, and it's like the old school bait makers used to make in it. So, and I've got a chartreuse shad and sexy shad. So there you go, man. It's the Epic Shad.
Sexy.
Beautiful. So I like to throw these pre-spawn on riprap, in particular rock, man, when they're looking for a bigger meal. On my bodies of water, they eat a lot of white perch to gear up for the spawn. So that's what I'm doing, and streaming with Kuda, and heading to Florida next week.
Yeah, and doing stuff that sounds way more crazy than I would ever even want to do. So
that's right. And you can catch me on Thursdays with Kuda and on Monday nights with Travis Manson on Smallmouth Crush.
I was say I have to get you and Travis on because I am not. I like fishing for smallmouth. I am not a smallmouth aficionado. I grew up fishing for largemouth, everywhere around here. So that'd be good because I know I have a lot of smallmouth guys, and I'm not the guy to ask like specific smallmouth techniques.
River smallies are the meanest things I've ever caught before in my life.
Oh, it's crazy, dude, isn't it? Though they're nuts, man. I had.
We're getting out of here. Nuts. What are you doing back there, trash dog? Stubby Christian.
He's looking.
What are you doing? Get out of that trash. Anyway, love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching.
Thank you so much.
Saturday. Hey,
thanks, Debo. Thanks, Dizzle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you guys.